previewing every game of the English Premier League. Please gamble responsibly. This is the Clubhouse Premier League betting preview with sportsbet.io.
Actually, I'll just get your opinions on the final. The Lionesses stormed into the final, roared into the final, taking on Spain on Sunday down under. Prospect of potentially a bank holiday in England should they win it. What do you reckon, Neil? Can they bring it home? Is football coming home at last?
Yeah, well, certainly for the women, yeah. It's they had great success with the Euros, and it looks like they've built on that. A lot of the bigger fancied sides are out, and they've got themselves into a position now, one game to go, to be world champions. And I'm sort of in the position where I don't like the comparison to say it's the first time since 1966. I'd like to give these women, this group of girls, the success to say they are the ultimate in the women's game. The women's game's growing all the time. We know that, but these girls could make history to be the best that England women have ever seen. And what an opportunity that will be. It will give a legacy for younger girls to really want to get into the sport that maybe they didn't before, at schools, at clubs. So it can really help the women's game grow. So yeah, Sunday morning, hopefully they can get it done. I've
really enjoyed it. We've covered it on Clubhouse TV, and some of the games have been fantastic. The goals in England's last game were all fantastic. The Australian goal was a rocket from distance, and England's goals were all very well put together. What do you reckon, Paul? Can they bring it home?
Listen, I think they've grown into the tournament. I think they struggled in the early part of the tournament, and they struggled against teams that you would have expected them to put away comfortably. But I think the performances, the resilience, missing players as well, missing key players at certain times. I just think they've shown the resilience of a team that are capable of winning the tournament. I'm not so sure people expected Spain to be in the final, and in a one-off game, they've got a fantastic opportunity. And as Neil said, the women's game in this country has just gone from strength to strength, and this will take it on another level. The Euros, the power of good, the platform that it's needed for a long, long time. The national game is, it's on a world level now, and people are standing up and taking note. And if that comes down to the WSL and to the Women's Premier League and to the league football, that now needs to be on the same level as the international team.
It's that thing, isn't it? If you can see it, you can be it. And a load of young girls, I'm sure, getting inspired around the country as they watch the Lionesses progress. So good luck to them as they go into the World Cup final on Sunday.
Covering every game of the English Premier League, Champions League and Europa League, live as they happen. For the best live bets, this is Clubhouse TV with sportsbet.io. Please gamble responsibly.
And a very good morning to you out there, Clubhouse creatures. It is very, very good to see you this morning, Saturday morning. It's a busy day on Clubhouse TV because we are with you now for the third place playoff in the Women's World Cup. Then we kind of go to sleep for a little bit, I wish. And then we come back at 3 o'clock for the Premier League matches. There's a load of matches at 3. And then we've got more going through the evening, all the way through till around about 10 p.m. UK time tonight. So busy. Get your fantasy teams all sorted out. Or you'd have had to have done that yesterday, wouldn't you? And poor old Gav last night, honestly. Nottingham Forest 2-1. Gav's little heart was broken. But he needs to get used to that as a Leeds fan last season. I know how it works. You can play very well in the Premier League and still not get any points. Anyway, it's James with you. Hello, Clubhouse creatures around the world. And alongside me, it's that fella.
Hello. Hello.
Move half an inch to your left. A little bit more. A little bit more. Go on. Keep going.
Where am I
Until you
going?
go out the window. No. That's perfect. Anyway, we have the third place playoff. Now, some might say that this is a complete waste of time.
Like you in the car.
I was
earlier.
about to say that I said to Dave Tyndall in the car as he drove me in, what's all this about? What's all this about third place playoff? Yeah, both teams want to be home. But you made a very salient point. I'll let you make it again.
Yeah, I think I know there's some controversy. Should this game exist? What's the point of making the two beaten semi-finalists play again when the heart's not in it? But I think the best situation you can get in a game like this is that the host nation are involved, and they are one of the two hosts, Australia.
And there's a lot of green
Look
and
at that
gold in the
stadium.
crowd. Yeah,
Look at that stadium.
It's a full house, isn't it, for this? Because they want to see the Aussie girls get to the get third place.
Yeah, it's still you can see it as a bronze medal, and the fact as well that they weren't the favourites to win the tournament. Australia, they've had a wonderful ride.
Yeah.
It's been a great tournament. So let's spin it out for one more game. So
Two. This one tomorrow.
no, for themselves, one more game.
No.
This is sort of nonsense he's been speaking. So he in the car said, "Oh, they'll just change all the teams. Sam Kerr won't play."
We should have done the show in the car, really.
I
shouldn't
know.
we? Yeah.
And I said,
It's gold dust in the car. It was gold dust.
I said, I bet you £1,000 Sam Kerr will play. Of course she'll play. And of course she is playing. So
We never shook on it.
Huh?
We never shook on it.
I was driving. I had two hands on the wheel. Yeah. Anyway, I'm pressing. She's my best bet to score any time at 2.3.
Her goal in the semi-final against England was an absolute thwonker. Yeah. All goals, to be fair, in that match were great, and England's goals were good too. But Sam Kerr's goal from distance absolutely belted it.
I mean, she's desperate, isn't she? She missed all the start of the tournament with an injury, so she's had to be nursed back in. She did play against England, so she'll be absolutely going for it today, and will want to get on the score sheet. And it just shows, what she's capable of with that goal against England. So I think 2.3 in a game that traditionally has goals in is a good bet.
We'll go through the teams in just a second, or the headline acts if you want. But Sweden 2.4, the tie is 3.45. Australia are 2.94. If you fancy goals, as DT does, over 2.5 is still quite skinny, 1.77. Under 2.5 if you fancy a bit of a stalemate. There's no reason for this to be a stalemate because they've got nothing to lose, really, 2.04. Over 3.5, though, is 2.7. I reckon that's got a few legs, the over 3.5. And if you fancy both teams to score in this one, and I don't see any reason why not, yes is 1.65. All the correct score markets. You've got any time goal scorer markets. DT's just mentioned Sam Kerr at 2.3, but you've got all the usual suspects in there. And plenty of options there for your goal scorer bets as well. And scroll all the way down because there's some great markets further down. You've got the race 2 on the corners. You've got the 10, 15, 30, 60, 75-minute results and first half goals. First half goals, by the way, over 1.5 is 2.6, which I quite like. First half goals are always a good price, and they happen.
Well, let me jump in there, but if you like that, because this is appropriate place to say this. Do you remember the you probably won't, given your disregard for this game, but do you remember the 2002 third place
I don't remember
playoff?
this one, Dave.
No? Do you know where the 2002 World Cup was held?
Oh, blimey. It was 2002, 2002.
Japan and South Korea.
It was in Japan and South Korea, Dave.
Right. Do you remember who got to the third place game?
No.
Dear me.
21 years ago.
I should know your history.
Henry VIII had 6 wives.
Football history.
Oh, sorry.
So South Korea and Turkey got to the semis and got beaten. So what's famous about that game?
Well, in fact, I don't get
it's like talking to.
Why don't you
does
just
any listener want to come and replace him?
Rather than give me the quiz,
no knowledge.
Why don't you just tell people?
Right. Well, in that game, there was a goal after 10 seconds. The fastest goal in World Cup history.
I remember that.
Hakan Suka scored after 10 seconds.
Hakan's one of our viewers as well.
After 10 seconds. Yeah. The game finished 3-2 to Turkey. You're talking about goals, first half goals. Let's play that, I think.
Over 1.5 first half goals, I think, has got every chance of landing.
Because to be fair, I think your point that it's not pointless, but there's definitely a dropping of sort of levels and intensity
It's more of an exhibition match, this,
Yeah,
isn't
so
it?
defenders aren't killing themselves to make a last gasp tackle.
But the reason we're here, when this match really, in the greater scheme of things, means nothing at all, is because there are markets to be had and there are bets to be won, and that's what we're all about here on Clubhouse TV with sportsbet.io, the world's most fantabulous Bitcoin sportsbook. His Royal Majesty Marquis Maharaja Kaiser Caesar Tsar Supreme Ayatollah Grand Vizier Lord King Emperor James VII Rex, hello genetics, Grand Professor Dave, the Duke of the People, man of many voices. In terms of that, though, DT, I'm going to kind of move you to one side for a second, and I want to bring in Roy Hodgson, who's a guest in the studio today. Roy, you've been watching the Women's World Cup. What's been your thoughts from the event in Australia and New Zealand?
Well, I thought England did very well to get out of the group. That's what I couldn't quite manage in my stint at the World Cup, but circumstances were different. I think they played quite well. They got to the final and they could win. I mean, I can remember the 1966 final. I was 37, so I remember that quite well.
And Serena Wiedemann, the FA said that they wouldn't discount her replacing Gareth Southgate as the men's football coach. Would you take on the women's job? Would you lead the Lionesses?
Yes, I'm confident if I guided them into the next World Cup, we could possibly get second in the group, and from there, who knows?
Well, thank you very much, Roy, for coming in this morning. Your thoughts are more than welcome. We'll probably catch up with you again in the second half at some stage. Bonta, hello. How are you? Algeria. I've decided last night I'm going to call you Bonts from now on. So, Bonts, it's good to see you. And Viv's with us. Hi, Hasbulla, and Professor D shared his betting slip here. So let's have a quick peek at the betting slip here.
What do you got?
Sweden, Australia. Bet's been settled. I don't understand that one.
You've won already.
I can't see what that one is. Anyway, so good luck with your bet though, Viv. Despite the fact that I can't see it. Did the free bet of yesterday credit James? I don't know. Gav will have sent them off. It's up to sportsbet.io. They'll be with you as soon as is humanly possible. But we're approaching kick-off in the Women's World Cup, third place playoff. Sweden taking on hosts or co-hosts Australia.
Counting down to kick-off, covering every game of the English Premier League, Champions League and Europa League. Live. This is Clubhouse TV with sportsbet.io. Please gamble responsibly.
So, dear Clubhouse creatures, we are underway. Australia taking on Sweden. Australia have had a really good tournament, as you said. Sweden, who will ever forget their penalty shootout against the US. It was that close, wasn't it, to getting across the line? It was across the line. The US were out and Sweden carried on. So these two sides have had tournaments they can look back on, DT, with a great deal of pride, I'd suggest.
Yeah, still 0-0. What are they playing at? We've had 40 seconds. Come on.
I suppose it's early, isn't it?
I suppose, yeah. Are you going to put that first half goals better?
I will do. I will do. Just looking at the rest of it, we need a Harry Kane buy-in edition voice, DT, says
There's
Genetics.
a chance.
Oh, nearly the opening goal within the first minute.
There you go. That was a really good save. Get on those first half goals.
Yeah, I'm going to get that bet on before somebody scores, because that goal's coming, isn't it? And in terms of the outrights on this, who do you think wins?
Again, I used to have a theory that the team who didn't want to be there, you opposed them. So
Sweden don't want to be there.
Yeah, do you think? Well, who was the most miffed after the semis? It's a bit of a tricky one.
The Australians were valiant losers. They were kind of England of yesteryear, weren't they, in men's football, where they gave it everything they had. They probably overachieved. Everybody was starting to believe, and then they went out. But they will have got a very good reception in Australia.
Yeah.
And obviously, being at home, they will probably pick up on those vibes more than the Swedes will pick up on the pride back home there.
Where if you think back to the men again, another example of a host nation going out in the semis, Brazil 2014. Do you remember they got hammered? Humiliated 7-1 by Germany.
I made some good money on that day.
Yeah.
5-minute markets, goals.
Oh, yeah. So they were just embarrassed. The whole nation was embarrassed. You know, they went into the semi-final. They just wanted to crawl in a hole and die, didn't they? They were just sort of so mortified.
It's only sport, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but is it, though, in Brazil? You know, imagine. I mean, it was astonishing. I've never seen a game like that where people in the crowd is just crying at every goal. Like, this is like a nightmare.
There's another one. More tears
unfolding. from Sweden again. Bright start by Sweden. Ball in. That's a bit far.
I've shared that back, by the way. Over 1.5 first half goals is there. If you want to click on that, then insert your own stake. Gamble responsibly.
I like it. So Brazil didn't want to be there, and they got beaten 3-0 by the Netherlands, who were probably sort of a bit disappointed not to have got to the final, but not to. It wasn't the shame that Brazil were feeling.
But you are right with this, that this is a continuation of Australia's journey, isn't it? And the crowd behind them again, they will potentially raise their game. Whereas as soon as if you are a normal side travelling to a destination, you go out in the semi-finals, you just want to go home.
Yeah.
There is no reason to stay, is there?
No.
You couldn't care less if you get a third place medal. Whereas Australia do.
I think Sweden probably do as well.
Now they're in there, it's a competitive match, but say a lot that at the top level, you only need to be down by 1% and you are behind your opponent if they're on it. Yeah, there's not a lot between any of these sides, and you only need to dip your standards, chase a ball just less ferociously or be a little bit less determined in a 50-50 challenge or something, and your team's up against it.
I think one of the interesting things sometimes is the kind of mentality of the nation. So you'd say Swedes are pretty solid people, aren't they? They're not flaky. They will.
You only have to look at the chef in the Muppet Show to know that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. So they won't.
Other stereotypes exist.
Yeah, but Sweden as a nation, they're not sort of. They're not flamboyant. They're not kind of.
IKEA, the perfect example. Good functional furniture you put together yourself.
Yeah. So here's an example then. So the Swedish men's team got to the semi-finals in 1994. Do you remember that in America? Played the third place playoff game against Bulgaria. You won't remember the score.
It was 3-1.
4-0 to Sweden.
I knew there were 4 goals in it.
The mentality of the Swedes, you see, is to keep going. So if you look at the start they've
made a really good start.
Yeah, they have. I think they're on.
We've been bigging up Australia, and Sweden have come out the traps really quickly, haven't they? On the basis of what we've seen so far,
Sweden first goal.
The markets for a team to be ahead by, I really like, and there's been a bit of money made in the studio. 20-minute result, Sweden 5.
Get on.
I'm going to share that. What I don't want you to do today, DT, is ruin my betting balance, because I came in yesterday. I had an absolute stonking show. Got the betting balance back up again. If you start to dwindle it away, I will be cross with you.
Only had one bet.
I only had one bet. When we get a little bit of a break in play, we're going to be joined in the studio by the German version of Harry Kane. So I'm looking forward to seeing
Harold Kahner.
Looking forward to seeing him in here. He's flown back in especially just to be on Clubhouse TV this morning.
Scored last night.
He did. His shot was going in.
He was,
He got deflected to be more in, but it was going in. He just kind of nestled it in a bit, just inside the post, wasn't it?
And he got an assist. Had a good game, Harry. Obviously. I don't know the German for obviously. Harry doesn't know it either.
Google it. Google Translate it.
Obviously.
You've got to bring this into
Harry's having 2 German lessons a week, apparently.
Well,
he knows yes and no now.
Did you see out there the penalty appeal? All the Bayern team were running towards the referee, and Harry Kane ran towards the referee and then went, I don't know what to say. I don't know.
He went up to the ref and went,
I don't know what. Come on, what is come on ref in
understanding him?
Come on ref in German.
I do not understand him.
James' best bet is Sweden to be leading by 20 minutes at 5.
Australia have got a free kick here.
Yeah, just as I share this, Australia will bang this into the top corner, won't it?
Well, yeah, but you want first half goals, don't you?
Yeah.
So Australia got a free kick out on the left.
I don't like the fact that Australia are in light blue.
It's a funny colour, that, isn't it?
You don't associate that colour with the Aussies, do you?
You would have thought they would have had first dibs on the...
Well, I guess it's supposed to be neutral, isn't it?
It's a clash, isn't it? Obviously, Sweden playing in yellow.
But, I mean, they couldn't wear they both couldn't wear their first choice kit, obviously, because they basically look identical, wouldn't they, pretty much, apart from the shorts. But it is weird to watch an Australian team not wearing the green and the gold.
They're kind of like Brighton away kit. What would you call it?
Yellow. Blue, rather.
Yellow.
Sweden.
No, Australia.
Yeah. Blue.
It's not blue,
It's light blue.
Is it not?
Aquamarine.
Yeah, I think you're more there. Turquoise. Turquoise. It's a bit bluer than
You get the idea.
green. Yeah.
And I'm sure you're probably watching and making your own minds up anyway.
Greeny blue.
So we will see how that goes. We're into the 8th minute between Sweden and Australia. And don't forget, join us later. I will be back later as well. But at 3 o'clock, you've got Gav and Jack in the studio for the Premier League. Fulham against Brentford. You've got Liverpool, Bournemouth, and Wolves against Brighton. Luton against Burnley postponed because Luton's ground is not quite ready yet. They should not have been promoted if they can't host games. Spurs against Manchester United at 5:30, and we finish up tonight with Manchester City against Newcastle, which is a tasty match, that, isn't it?
When does that kick off?
8 o'clock.
8.
Well, we haven't got the usual 12:30, have we? So it's kind of, I guess it's the Women's World Cup's been part of that, or whatever reason.
It's the TV deal.
The early match has gone back to 8 o'clock, which is fine by me. It's all right.
Nice way to spend your Saturday evening.
And then I am back with you tomorrow.
For the final.
Because we have the Lionesses, the brave Lionesses, as the ball's played over the top by Sweden. Can she get onto the end of this one? She can, I think. Not quite.
She didn't really know what to do there, did she?
And she had nobody in support, to be fair. If she cut that back, there was nobody there.
We've seen her playing live, James Blackstenius, for Arsenal. And we went to that Arsenal game.
I spent I spent all of the second half inside talking to the waitress.
You did?
Yeah. It's too cold, Dave.
Where was she from again? But Poland.
Poland, yeah. Very nice.
She was a lovely lady. Yeah. You didn't get a number though, did you?
Well, after talking to her for about 40 minutes, she just let slip that she got a boyfriend. So I was like,
So what
bye then.
What did you say? Well, that was a waste.
Yeah, I could have been watching the football.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Dreadful.
Yeah. So, for that 20-minute market to land, we've got just over 10 minutes for the Swedes to get ahead.
Come on, the Swedes.
So, anyway, Germany yesterday 4-0 to Bayern Munich. Harry Kane in the studio now with us. As we watch the first half of Sweden against Australia. And Harry, moved to Germany, to Bayern. Obviously, a lot talked about that. Are you settling in Germany, and how did you find the match yesterday?
Obviously, over the summer, Spurs was my team. But now, wait a minute. Bayern ist mein Mannschaft. I think that means Bayern is my team.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It was a good debut. I scored a goal and I did an assist. In German, I scored the goal. A Tor. Is it a Tor? I went on a tour. Did I go on a tour? And I got das Assist. So, and the German lessons are coming on. Very obviously, the German is my team. No, I'll get there. I'm having to. I'm das 5 lessons a week,
and
I'm getting there. You can see my voice.
And when do you expect to make your debut for the German national team?
Obviously, wait a minute. No one told me this.
Yeah, so watch out for Harry Kane in the German shirt very soon indeed. So good to be joined by Roy Hodgson and Harry Kane this morning. Sweden with a free kick into the 12th minute of this match. Yet to get that goal, but it's been a bright and breezy start, end-to-end stuff. I'm going to ask you for your best bet at around about the 15-minute mark, but we may get a goal before then, the way this match is going.
Yeah, it's free kick to the Swedes. They go deep to the far post, headed clear. They've got about 8 people in the box, though.
You should really ask me what Donald Duck thinks.
Yeah, so you have to crowbar your one impression into a chat about football. Yeah, Harry Kane is a big fan of Donald Duck. Is Donald Duck pleased to see Harry in the Bundesliga? Brilliant.
Anyway, Sweden 0, Australia 0, and into the 13th minute of this one. The chances are we're going to see quite a few subs today, aren't we? Because head coaches tend to, especially in the third place playoff, give a few people off the bench a bit of a run out.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. So I don't know when that'll be, maybe at half time, or maybe they're just towards the end. Sweden try a ball over the top, which Australia clear.
Haven't had a corner yet, have we?
Maybe not.
I don't believe we have. Let's have a look stats-wise in this match. As you can see on the screen, no corners yet in this one. So far, 81% possession for Sweden.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. They were 2.3 at the start. They're 2.1 now, so clearly the traders have seen that they've been pretty dominant.
Just the one shot on goal, mind. It's not really manifested itself in anything particularly tangible on the end product. But Viv shared another bet. Oh, I tell you what, Viv, you were thinking along the same lines as me, weren't you? Yet to get a corner doesn't mean corners won't come. Over 8.5 total corners is 2. Double your money for 9 corners in this match. We've only had 13 minutes without one, so it's not like you kind of asking for too much there, I don't think. I think that's a good bet, Viv. So good luck with that. And Viv's been on fire recently. The amount of times he sent me a message to say, ex-bet, done and dusted.
Oh, right.
Yeah. That's his favourite phrase at the moment, Viv.
Done and dusted.
Have you made any changes to your fantasy team today ahead of the Premier League, or yesterday ahead of the Premier League round of 2?
Me?
Yeah.
No, when I picked my team in week 1, it was kind of as a project for the first few weeks, so I didn't want to. I was tempted to, bring in Chilwell like everybody was, but then I couldn't have just swapped a defender. I had to have done a -4, so I left it.
I've made one change which is more cosmetic than anything. I've taken out a defender that I know isn't going to play and brought in a defender that might play at some stage in the future, but I've not actually put him in the 11.
I just wanted, I think to make changes I'll need like a 2, you get a free one, so I need 2 to sort of play with.
I was thinking there were 2 potential strategies for me this week. I was thinking I want to get Mo Salah in, and I then couldn't do it without moving 2 people and taking the -4 hit, which I wasn't prepared to do just yet.
Yeah.
And that's the first corner. He's pointing the goal kick.
No.
And the Bonta's made one change, and Nketiah in place of Calvert-Lewin. That's a good move.
Calvert-Lewin might start, actually.
Nketiah could get goals, though. He's going to start, isn't he?
Sean Dyche was interviewed yesterday, and he said Calvert-Lewin played a 90-minute game behind closed doors in midweek, so he is available for selection.
I think Nketiah's got a really good opportunity to score a few, actually, in the early stages, because Arsenal are flying. I thought Arsenal were really impressive last week. So
they won 2-1 against Forest.
But they were 2-0 up and looked. And then they had this a little bit towards the end of last season where they couldn't quite finish a team off. And they got 2-0 up and then maybe just rested on their laurels a little bit too much. But Forest played well against Sheffield United last night.
Forest, they're not the Forest of this time last season, are they?
They've grown into the Premier League, haven't they?
They have. They very much have.
I don't think Forest still have too many dramas this season. I think something around about 14th place finish without any too much looking over the shoulder, I think, for Forest.
It's good to get an early win under the belt, so yeah.
Well, it was a big game yesterday, I think, for both sides, because you don't want to go too far into the season without getting a win, because everybody then writes now 10 games without a win, now 15 games without a win, whatever. And to get that first win in the column for Forest just kind of gets them in. They're on the board, they're away, aren't they? Whereas Sheffield United, despite the fact that I didn't see their first game, but they played quite nicely yesterday. But as I said to Gav, in the Premier League, there's no... you don't get any kind of freebies. There's no charity. You can play really well and still come away with nothing. And I thought that's exactly what Sheffield United did yesterday. So despite the fact that they will be quite happy with maybe Australia into the penalty area, can't quite get the ball across, gets a second bite of the cherry on the right-hand side.
Samka's lurking in the middle. Can they get a ball onto her head? Needs to get a ball out wide. There comes the cross. Oh, does it? Or get a corner at least? No, it deflects the wrong way.
Can't do either. Still with Australia.
Oh, Sweden just getting her foot in. Come on, cross it.
You've got to get the ball into the mix.
There, now, cross. Come on.
Going to look for somebody to support.
It's too slow, isn't it? It's too slow.
Yeah. They kind of take 3 touches when one would be better.
Corner here.
No, don't get anything in the end. All that industry down the right-hand side and nothing comes from it.
And now Sweden on the break. But
so Sheffield United now sit there thinking, well, we played quite nicely last night, but then you look at the table, no points after 2 matches, and it's...
they've got the old problem. They play well to a point, but they haven't got anyone to stick the ball in the net, have they?
Gav was saying there was a couple of potential signings coming. But they are...
Corner!
Yay, we're off and running, Viv. A couple of potential signings for Sheffield United, but they are basically kind of raiding the Championship rather than anybody that's Maradona-esque.
Yeah.
Imagine if Maradona signed for Sheffield United.
Didn't he nearly sign for Sheffield United? That famous story, isn't there?
Really?
Yeah.
Are you winding me up?
No.
Signed for
Google it.
Sheffield United?
Yeah.
Right, I need to investigate this.
We need Gavin to sort of spend 20 minutes telling you.
I made the funny noise there while I was typing. Cross comes in.
Are we go for another one? No, I think they're going to let it run out.
The year was 1978, and a 17-year-old Argentine phenomenon, or phenom, named Diego Maradona was set to become a Sheffield United player.
Oh, yeah.
Harry Haslam, manager of the second division side, was on the scouting mission in Argentina and looked at a pair of players but couldn't come up with the requisite funds.
What might have been, eh?
I mean, you could say that now, that you could get Messi, but you can't come up with the requisite funds. I mean, there's a lot of players that teams can't come up with the requisite funds.
I think it was an unknown Maradona at the time. 1978, I think it was.
How different could life have been?
I know. Sliding doors moment.
Yeah. Koki says, "Hi, Mr. Pep. What do you say about the game tonight?" Fortunately, Koki, we are joined by Pep Guardiola, which he's taken time out of his busy schedule. Obviously, the game isn't until later. But Pep, good to see you in the studio again. How do you view this evening's fixture?
I've not been practicing this one.
Koki, you've caught him cold.
I can only say that one phrase.
Go on.
If we don't fight, we lose. We have not got Kevin. He got a bad injury.
That's terrible.
Here come Australia to the byline. Oh, that's gone over, isn't it? And it goes to the keeper anyway.
Yes.
Tars Nua says, "James, what is the requirement for the free bet?" That's a very good question, Tars Nua. We haven't said, have we? And I'm refusing to.
Why?
Stay tuned. That's all I can say. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
I think we'll make it corners.
So we've got one.
Viv's bet was over 8.5, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We need 8 corners in this match for the free bet to land.
And so we've got one already. So you're saying 7 more.
7 more from here.
Okay.
So that's basically one every 10 minutes would be suffice, wouldn't it?
That would work.
So yeah, free bet today. 8 corners total. Let's be generous. Genetics likes it.
Yeah. We need a goal here.
First 10, by the way. I think this afternoon, by the way, if you tune in from 3, the 3 o'clock games, it's the first 20. So there's double the chance of winning.
Do you know where I'm going after this?
Gav fell to peer pressure last night,
Oh, dear.
Crumbled in front of the world. Basically, a couple of people said, "Can't we have more than 10 in terms of the winners?" And Gav gave a long answer about, it swings and roundabouts. We'll have more for some matches, blah, 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 blah. Then somebody asked the question again. He goes, "Oh, go on then, we'll have 15. Absolute weak as whatever. Something very weak.
It's a weak thing.
Weak as a kitten. Weak as a very weak kitten. Here come Australia on the break again. And now this is an opportunity down the left.
They've picked up a bit, haven't they, now?
Sweden have got players back, but a sliding tackle means it's a throw-in on the near side.
Yeah, after this, do you know where I'm going?
Are you going to Anfield?
I am going to Anfield, yes.
Are you playing?
I'm on the bench.
Has Pep actually managed to sign you?
Pep?
Jurgen, rather. Got Pep in them right.
No, we've got Endo now in midfield.
Yeah, you actually managed to make a signing without Chelsea nicking it from under your nose.
Yeah.
Asked Neil Mellor yesterday about that.
Yeah, what did he say?
He said it's the end of the world. It's Liverpool might as well just pack in as a club.
What, like Leeds have?
Well, I did say I've got no moral high ground on this at all.
Good defending.
That's very good defending.
Yeah, Sweden were nearly in there. Yes, funnily enough, Chelsea didn't try and kibosh our
Did you see the
move
tweet?
for a 30-year-old Japan.
There was a tweet out on Twitter saying a picture of Harry Maguire saying Liverpool increase interest in Harry Maguire. Then underneath it, there's the Chelsea response saying, "Yeah, we're not falling for that one," or something like that.
Yeah.
Because basically everybody Liverpool's shown an interest in, so have Chelsea so far.
I just think that position on the pitch, I think you can if if you're lucky, well, not lucky, but you can get away with just buying someone quite cheap to do it. I don't know how it's become this most pivotal position on the pitch ever. You can't be paying 176 million for two of them.
Here come Australia. Balls to the back post. Chance here for Australia potentially. Shots and near post.
It's a corner.
Corner number 2.
The Aussies have stepped it up here, haven't they?
Yeah, they've grown into the game, haven't they?
They are 2.58 to score the first goal. I think that might be a decent bet now.
The song for him has got to be the REM classic.
It's the endo of the world as we know it.
Well, you don't even need to put the of in, do you? The end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And he plays fine, or something like that. You can start that today.
Shall I start that up? They are very good with the old songs, the Liverpool crowd, so maybe I'll hear that.
Well, they have, I in a weak moment, when I had a day off the other day, as balls played in by Australia, claimed very nicely by the Swedish keeper. In fact, before we go on with that, I'm going to ask you for your very best bet right now.
I thought you were going to...
It's time for Dave's best bet.
Well, I'm going to go for the Aussies to get the first goal. I think...
well, my bet's dead, isn't it? The Sweden to be leading by 20.
Yeah, so as that's dead, let's switch horses and go with that. Sweden had the best of the first, 10, 12, 15 minutes, but the Aussies have really come back into it. So, yeah, I think they're a decent price now.
You share that with the creatures.
I will.
And we will continue. We're about halfway through the first half now. I was kind of doing the usual social media, YouTube kind of like scoot around. And you end up going down rabbit holes, don't you? You kind of click on something that's Liverpool. And I watched it, and it was a song by some fellow playing the guitar.
Jamie thingy.
There's a few now, I think.
He's famous, isn't he?
And then you kind of get, then you click again and you get another one and you get another one. And they have gigs now, don't they, where these guys that make the songs up come out on stage with a whole raft of Liverpool fans all singing along.
Klopp went to one of them, I think.
Well, they've done, there's a couple of, there's one where they basically, it's actually a business for these people. Because they create the songs, they've created their brand. They now do podcasts and videos and things, and they've got their own little media channels, and they're making quite a bit of money out of it. And then they do these get-togethers where they come on stage, play the songs, and have a chat about Liverpool. But it's actually a little bit of an industry for 3 Liverpool fans get together and create that, and you're laughing, aren't you?
Yeah.
But they've done one where it's like a split screen where they're showing like a Diogo Jota or something. Somebody on stage playing his song, and he's kind of watching it go, oh, that's amazing. Yeah, it's good. But, ball played through by Sweden. Chance here for Sweden into the penalty area. Ball's played out to the right. Delivery is important. It's played in off the crossbar.
Wow.
Headed against the bar and goes behind for a goal kick. That's the closest we've come. And that was a very, very good chance. Good header. It didn't make too many mistakes. Was onside as well as the ball's played through. And then the cross comes in. Only one Swede on the edge of the 6-yard box. Found the player. Heads it flush onto the crossbar.
Liverpool had a good song for... Do you remember Takumi Minamino, our previous Japan player?
Yes.
You know that song, Monkey Man? Aye, 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 da 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 Monkey Man. Is it the Specials? So they had a... Minamino comes from Japan. Aye, aye, aye. So that was a good one for him. It's something like, he's dead nice. Da, da, da. Minamino comes from Japan.
Oh, there's referees getting... We've got
Possible
a possible
penalty.
penalty.
Ooh,
Possible penalty. It allows me to... Actually, going to the screen, we're probably going to get a penalty here for Sweden. So the referee trots across to have a little bit of a watch, catch up on a couple of Netflix series.
She's caught a heel, hasn't she? She's caught the back of her heel.
I mean, technically, I guess that's contact. That's a penalty, isn't it? Because she was just about to play the ball.
She's a bit unlucky.
She's basically just clipped the heel of the foot that was about to play the ball back out to the right. I mean, it wasn't even going anywhere. It wasn't like she was kicking that towards goal.
It's almost just, because her legs come back.
Oh, Koki's got, he's just gone in over 0.5 first half goals at 2.18. You placed that bet at
What's he saying then?
A very good time, I think, here, Koki.
Can we lip read?
She's going to point to the spot, I think, DT. She's telling the crowd and points to
Penalty.
the spot. So we have a penalty for Sweden.
Well, that was...
Oh, the Australians in the crowd looking a little bit crestfallen.
Good timing by Koki, bad timing from me with Australia first goal.
Oh, I'd prefer Koki to be happy than you.
Awful, man.
You have a very nice day, Koki. You stick with us on Clubhouse TV. You just clear off to watch Liverpool play.
Fine.
You both get a very good deal there. You get to watch me for much of the day, and you get to watch Liverpool. What more could you ask for?
Nothing. That's my perfect day.
So it is Sweden from the spot to take the lead in this third place playoff. It's the number 16 for the Swedes, who is...
Filippa Angeldal.
Filippa Angeldal.
Got the ball in her hand. No,
she's one of it. They've conned them.
Yeah,
they've conned them.
Yeah.
It's now gone to Rolfo.
Yeah, she's the kind of top dog, isn't she? So
We've got Endo, we've got Rolfo, all the O's.
all the O's.
So Rolfo from the spot to put the Swedes ahead. The Australian keeper has had a little bit of a mixed bag against penalties. In the shootout against France, she was all over the place at times, but ended up being the heroine. But now we've got Sweden from the spot, 30th minute here. So the over 1.5 would be back on course should this find the back of the net. And it does. We have the first goal. Sweden take the lead. Rolfo scores. And it's Sweden 1, Australia 0. So that will change things, Clubhouse creatures. Sweden go to 1.45. The tie 4.1. Australia now 9.2. If you fancy another goal in the first half. And I wouldn't put you off that because I think there's every chance. First half Asian total market over 1.5 is now 2.42. Great bet from Koki. It's good, isn't it? When you go in on something and you basically get rewarded almost immediately. And Koki having a good morning. Gamble responsibly, everybody. Clubhouse TV with sportsbet.io. Fun, fast, and ferociously fair.
Good, accurate penalty. I mean, the keeper went the right way. She didn't absolutely hammer it, but she just went for accuracy over power.
Fridolina Rolfo. Fridolina's a good name, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Fridolina Tyndall.
It's not one I've heard, Fridolina.
No. That's why I commented. I've not heard it before.
Fridolina.
If you have a daughter, you could call her Fridolina.
Fridolina. It sounds like daughter of Fred.
Whoever wins the free bet today has to make us a promise that should you have children and one of them is a daughter, you have to call that daughter Fridolina.
There's only 2 sons and no 3.
That's a verbal contract, by the way.
Okay. There's only 3 sons in the Swedish team. Eriksson, Andersson, and Rubenson. So
it should be Eric daughter.
Daughter of Eric, daughter of Anders, and daughter of Rubens.
So Australia have a little bit of a challenge here now, don't they? Because we've had the goal, and they've had more than their fair share, if not at least their fair share of this first half, I'd suggest. After a strong start for Sweden, Australia have come back into this, and just as you start to think, as you did, that Australia might take the lead, Sweden have a bit of a sucker punch moment and convert the penalty, but still got 14 minutes this first half plus any stoppage time left. So there is enough time for this to change before half-time, DT.
Yeah, I think so. This will increase intensity levels for the Australians. Just, they desperately want to win this game. Got a goal behind, so they've got to find something now. They've got another hour to do so. Want to get Sam Kerr into the game a bit more. We've seen against England, he only needs a quarter of a chance to score a goal, but they've not been able to find her in any space of yet.
Ask me what the Swedish supporting Al Pacino thinks.
James, what does the Swedish supporting Al Pacino think?
You don't start that sentence with James, do you? Because I am Al Pacino in this context.
Oh, what's the chance for Sam Kerr? What was the question?
This is why you don't present the man of many voices.
Al? What does the? I don't know.
I've lost the will to live. Hoo-ha! that was it. That was good. Oh, it was going to be just leading up to that.
Hoo-ha!
Yeah. That's 5 minutes of our lives wasted. Anyway, thank you for watching Clubhouse Creatures Around the World. Clubhouse TV with sportsbet.io. Can we get any value in coming back in Australia? We fancied goals in this one. It maybe took a little bit longer to come than we thought, but we're off and running. Touch paper has been lit potentially. Australia will have to commit. No reason not to. Their crowd is right behind them. They will go flying forward, trying to get back on at least level terms. And that might give Sweden a little bit more space behind now. So there's plenty to play for here.
Here's the Aussies. Chance to put the ball in.
Koki liked it. He's gone hoo-ha on the chat.
Hoo-ha. No. What's the corner count? 2?
You ever seen Scent of a Woman? Al Pacino's an old army vet who's got a bit miserable with life. And whenever he does anything, he finishes it with hoo-ha.
Hoo-ha. So. What, are you a fan of Ange Postecoglou?
I think he has his merits.
Big game today, isn't it? Against Man United.
I think Manchester United were disappointing in their first match.
They were terrible.
And I thought Spurs played relatively well, despite the loss of Harold. So I think Maddison's a very good signing. He's going to be crucial for them, I think, in terms of their attacking intent. And Son, who had a bad season last season, needs to kind of step up a gear, doesn't he?
He certainly can when Harry Kane doesn't play. Son is able to come from the sort of chief lieutenant to the main man.
They do have a couple of weeks now, don't they, to spend the Harry Kane money as well?
Yeah.
So there's Ange can go into the market. I mean, the only thing I was mentioned to the guys on the preview pod that if you're James Maddison and you've been seduced by Tottenham and you've gone, yes, I'll come and play for you, Ange. That'll give me I'm going to be playing with a really good striker who also plays for England, which might boost my England credentials. And Gareth Southgate, if he sees me slip one through for Harry Kane, then that might actually make, he can do it for Harry, look. And Harry goes straight away, doesn't he? So,
well, I think he would have known that was every chance of that. And
to be honest, if you looked at the rumour mill, he's been going every summer for the last 5 years.
Oh, why didn't you pass?
But
I mean, if he's James Maddison, what's the alternative? He's playing in the Championship with Leicester.
Signed for Newcastle.
Ball through. No.
Newcastle wanted Maddison in the last transfer window.
They've got a lot of players of the same sort of ilk, though, haven't they?
So, I mean, that again is a good chance, isn't it? I mean, Eric Ten Hag was quite honest after that Manchester United win. I mean, kind of way we're talking about, you'd think that they'd lost, but it's kind of sometimes just as important to grind out a bad result than it is to wallop a team 5-0, isn't it?
We scored 1 goal. Our opponent scored no goals, so I take the win, and we play the next game with 3 points.
That's more of a Dutch accent than there.
I was going to say,
he's more sort
which
of,
random Dutchman was that?
Yeah, he's more guttural.
Which random man from Netherlands was that?
Yeah.
Sweden 1, Australia 0, as Eriksson is down and being helped back to her feet to challenge. She comes over the top a little bit on Sam Kerr, but she goes down because I think she's basically headed the ball and then caught her chin on the back of Sam Kerr's head on the hard part.
Talking of back to managers, Ange Postecoglou, I don't know if he'll be really, really good. I think there's a chance he could be really, really good, or there's a chance that he might bomb.
Have you seen his speech team meeting thing for Australia?
Yeah, which is great.
I thought that was really good.
But then how many times can you do that?
But I watched...
It's all like my daddy's, and low nonsense sort of fella, and I don't know.
What's Murph Hughes doing in there? If you watch the Arsenal doc, I mean, Arteta's quite a bright guy. There's more to him than just this, but he basically just does a different inspirational team talk ahead of every single match. He just changes the vibe, gets a different prop or something, and comes in and basically says, "Oh, the sun is shining, go out and win," or whatever. And so the team talk is quite an important part of it. It just kind of gives the team that little bit more pep in their step as they walk out to play the game. And I mean, I watched the the Burnley doc. I don't know if you've seen that yet. That's worth watching.
What channel is it on?
It's on
Netflix.
It's on Sky, I think.
Right.
But it's good. I hadn't realised until I watched that the American owners were Mormons. They're devoutly
I was surprised
religious.
when I heard that.
And he's comes across as a really good bloke. The little he's only quite a diddy. But he's sort of silver-haired with a beard and speaks really well. And he's obviously, really passionate about the project that they've got going there, backing Vincent Kompany to the hilt kind of thing.
Yeah.
You can see why Vincent Kompany's staying there because, kind of from the outside, you think, oh, it's only Burnley. What, if you're playing that, you could go to a bigger club than that. But they are backing him. He's on a project. I think Vincent Kompany quite revels in making a team better.
Yeah, I think so.
And obviously, you can make a Man City better, but you kind of got less scope with a Man City. Whereas the changes that you make at a team like Burnley are more obvious, aren't they?
Well, it came from kind of like not a very wealthy background, Vincent Kompany. So I think
his father was the first black
mayor
in Belgium.
I think he maybe prefers that role rather than just being plugged into immediate success to kind of build something. And
he's got a incredible work ethic and just massive amount of drive. And the players at Burnley were saying, he expects a lot from us, but it's funny, isn't it? Because you can go in as a manager of any level, but Graham Potter suffered from this at Chelsea, where it was almost like, well, what have you done?
Yeah.
Whereas Vincent Kompany, you don't ask that question, do you, Vincent Kompany? Because he's won titles with Man City, and he's still fresh enough in the memory for all of them to have watched him on Sky.
Just when he walks in, there's a sort of aura about him,
and he has got that. I think naturally, he's quite a big, tall man who stands straight and kind of commands the room and commands the respect just naturally as a person. But I think he's going to be interesting to watch Burnley. They obviously don't play this weekend because the Luton fixture's off, but I think he could could surprise a few with that Burnley side this season. And he was saying on the overlap with Gary Neville, I got into a bit of a Vincent Kompany 2 hours the other day, and Gary Neville does a good job on that overlap.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
I think he interviews well, and he was talking to Vincent Kompany, who said that he talks about kind of the making the team better. They started off last season in the Championship, obviously, and they lost pretty much every game, got thumped in pre-season, and didn't have the best of starts to the Championship. They were right down the bottom end after about 5 or 6 matches. Shot from Sweden goes straight into the hands of the Australian keeper. But he was basically impressing on the players. I want you to do this every week. I want you to do this. Come on, let's be better next week. And just kind of gradually getting people to believe in what he was asking them to do. And they would get. And by the time he got to about 10 matches in, he said, "Right, this is where we start winning." And he could see the team coming together and playing his way. And he also said that when he was growing up as a kid at Anderlecht, I think it's probably a little bit like Ajax or something like that. They were playing kind of total football, attacking and passing the ball, and the defenders were all ball players, and that was how he was brought up. And he initially signed for Man City as a midfielder, but he could certainly play the ball.
Sweden.
Look, for a minute I thought I was going to go top corner, but didn't.
I think quite dip.
But he said, coming to England or playing professional football, all the head coaches wanted him to do was bang into a striker and knock him down. And it wasn't until he got to Man City under Pep that Pep wanted him to play the ball, and he kind of got refound the kind of the initial love for the game that he had when he was a kid. So, I think he speaks so well, Vincent Kompany. Comes across brilliantly.
I really like him, apart from that one goal he scored, which ruined the title for Liverpool.
Which Pep was livid about.
Yeah, don't shoot.
Yeah. Again, it basically,
brilliant
what
goal.
are you shooting from that range for? It's going to, because the chances of scoring from that range, you're better off passing it to a striker who can do better. But smashed it into the corner, didn't he?
Yeah. Some goal, iconic goal, that one.
I'm going to press this now, DT, because we're coming up towards half-time. We don't know how much time is going to be added on, but I don't think it's going to be a huge amount in this match. Got about 3.5 minutes to half-time. A, do we get a goal to land my over 1.5? And B, if you were coming in afresh, where would you take me for the best bet?
It kind of goes in patches, doesn't it? And Sweden are now on top. They've had the last couple of chances.
That's a nice ball through.
Oh, Mary Fowler nearly got on the end of that.
Wasn't quite quick enough onto that. Didn't quite read that play, did she?
No. An Aussie goal, so both teams to score is 1.64. If that was just a bit higher, I'd play that. But it's not, so I won't for now. Hopefully it'll rise a little bit. Draw first half is 10. feel I'm going to sort of be out of sync with this, but I'm tempted to say Sweden will score the second goal. I mean, they've got a chance here. Shot. That got a corner.
That was a good chance as well. She had the ability there to maybe have a little bit more time on the ball and stick it into the corner. You see this from behind the player here. Gets it onto her right foot.
Is it Rolfo again?
Did have a lot of players around her, but that was a long way wide of the post, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think Sweden will score the second goal. It's basically 2.
Got plenty of messages coming in celebrating the penalty, obviously, initially. But we've got plenty of others. Josh99, the other regulars still around, he says. Is this Gabby Champs under a new moniker? People are kind of welcoming Gabby Champs back. Smiley face. I don't know. Anyway. Hello, Josh99. Where are you? Who are you? Good to have you with us on Clubhouse TV. Continue watching as we go through the rest of the day on the Premier League. We're going to take you through to the conclusion of this match. Then we'll turn off this service. It'll go back onto the loop and then join us again for 3 p.m. For the start of a busy day in the Premier League. And good luck with your fantasy teams out there apart from him. Corner, number 3.
You're so scared, aren't you, that I'll hammer you again?
What are the positions right now? You're only as good as your last week?
Dear me.
Only good as your last week, aren't you, really?
Yeah, so play the tapes where he says you're only as good as your last season. Moving the goalposts. Corner. We got a corner here anyway. What's that? 3 corners?
3.
Volley comes in.
Keeper doesn't quite get that, but then does it the second attempt.
So the Swedish keeper must be one of the best keepers in the tournament.
We need 8 corners in this match for the free bet to land. So we've got 3 as we approach half time. So we're nearly halfway there. 5 in the second half, I don't think is too much to ask for. So
yeah, we were on 0 after about 15 minutes. Yeah, so pass back there. It's too short.
Oh, score, woman, score.
Oh dear me. That was poor.
That was over 1.5 on a plate for you. She just dallied and dallied, lost the ball and fell on the ground.
It's a back pass. She doesn't look. Blackstenius is onto it, so it doesn't quite know what to do. And then
where's the Swede arriving around the penalty spot there for the cutback? There's nobody in support. She's
sort of thinking ahead what to do next and forgets to just control the ball to begin with. But Sweden are sort of stepping it up here. They get a second goal before the first half ends. First yellow card, I think that is.
Yeah, we're into stoppage time, but we don't know quite how much yet. But yeah, yellow card number 1. So that's Katrina Gorry.
5 added minutes
in the book
we've got.
So come on, let's get a goal in this 5 minutes.
A Sweden goal would win a couple of bets, wouldn't it, here?
Well, the over 1.5 would be nice. We could easily, I mean, that was the right bet. They could easily have scored more than they have.
Yeah.
They've had opportunities, haven't they?
They've hit the bar, that one there where a bit of composure that could have been in. But anyway, Sweden have got a free kick, chance to put the ball into the box. Got another 4 and a bit minutes of this first half.
Go on, stick this in the onion bag.
Come on, the Swedes.
Come on, the Swedes.
It's going to be swung in. That's right footer. Referee just sorting out a bit of aggro. Sam Kerr, bit of argy-bargy.
We're back with you tomorrow, me and him, for a big game. Ball's played in, floated, back post, chance! Oh, save! I thought that was in.
Yeah. Just a little prod of the boot. But
really good save down to her left.
Yeah, keeper got down well there.
Women's World Cup final tomorrow, so make sure you join us for that if you can. 10:45 will be on air, 11 a.m. kickoff UK time. Can the Lionesses bring it home? Or will it be Viva España?
Very tight in the betting. Sweden again in the box.
I think at the start of this tournament, the chances of England reaching the final were far higher than Spain reaching the final. Spain have overachieved more than England have.
Yes.
Which would, in my head, see England starting favourites. But in a one-off final, with both teams full of confidence having got to the final, it's not as easy as that, is it?
No.
Spain pack a punch.
They do pack a punch. Obviously, they're like the men's team in terms of they'll have loads of possession.
I mean, Jorge Vilda, the boss, his team were in turmoil on the eve of the World Cup. He was falling out with players left, right and centre. There's a few Spanish players who refused to play under him.
I wonder if that'll come home to roost a bit in the intensity of a final. They have been hammered. Japan showed the way how to beat them. Just play on the break, and Japan beat them 4-0. Here's Sweden.
Come on, Sweden. This is the chance. This is the one over 1.5. Oh, you absolute Lechuga.
Black Stenius again. Wastes a good chance.
Black Stenius equals Lechuga. Dreadful. Dreadful woman.
It's a great ball.
I mean, she's probably
the
very
top.
nice, in all honesty. She's probably lovely.
Look, she's just cut across the player there. She sort of goes wide and then...
But again, where's the attacker arriving on her left for the cutback if there is
Black
one?
Stenius, to be fair to her,
Look at the penalty area. There's nobody there.
If there's someone running there, she could just play it inside.
Put your foot on it, pass it back to the penalty spot, and somebody's got a shot on goal. But there's nobody in support of Black Stenius at all. She's having to do everything on her own. And she's obviously proving not to be very good at that.
No. There's the Aussie manager. There's been a bit of criticism of him. I think there's a feeling that he's kind of the Phil Neville. He's a good sort of cheerleader, but he's tactically a bit short.
I mean, going back to Ange Postecoglou,
Sweden again.
it's become a regular theme of this first half. Not that he's anything to do with this match whatsoever, apart from the fact he's Australian. I think, tactically, he was pretty good.
Yeah, I think he's good
north of the border. I think he's good at man management, and I think he's good at the team talks. And what else do you need to do?
Well, just that feeling of some of them will think, well, who are you? Because we don't,
To be honest, if I was the boss of a club, I mean, and obviously if I went into Spurs, they'd all go, who are you?
Yeah.
Unless they were regular viewers of Clubhouse TV, of course. And then they'd just ask me to sing. But I would say, well, if you were going to have that kind of attitude, you can get on your bike, sunshine. I want players that want to play for this club and play for me.
Yeah, but, clearly he said it was a problem for Graham Potter.
I think
that got that instant he walks in and you go...
I mean, I thought that was pathetic, to be honest. Chelsea players kind of with that attitude, because it's like, you've seen him. Brighton have beaten you. You know who he is.
Yeah, but Man United had it with... who was the fella before Ten Hag?
He's so well known that you can't remember him.
Exactly. That sort of director of football fella.
Oh,
I can't remember his name. Anybody?
Came in when Ollie was there as...
Yeah.
We don't
even know, do we?
That says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of proves your point, really. But I think if you are... I mean, Jose Mourinho didn't have a star-studded career. I mean, Pep Guardiola obviously did. But Jurgen Klopp didn't have a star-studded footballing career.
No, but then they start off small, though, don't they?
Yeah.
But
so did Graham Potter. Graham Potter at Ostersunds, Leeds Met University to Ostersunds, to going up through Swansea.
Sam Kerr with a shot.
To Brighton. He'd earned his right to get that promotion. 2 players down. There's a bit of collision on the edge of the area there, and that looks a little bit nasty, doesn't it? They've gone down and they're
whacked into each other.
And it's not one of those where they're actually kind of rolling around to play acting. They've just gone down and not completely motionless. You can see them moving, but 2 players there, one from each side, in a little bit of pain. I mean, Graham Potter earned the right, and
Ralph Rangnick,
and went through the ranks. It wasn't like he just popped up at Chelsea from nowhere.
Yeah, Ralph Rangnick, by the way.
Yeah, I remember Ralph.
Good old Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph.
But he's
just quite a low-key sort of figure, though, isn't he?
If you are a Graham Potter, a Jurgen Klopp, or a Jose or something at the start, I mean, Jose obviously earned his corner at under Bobby Robson as assistant manager, and then went to Ajax. Porto. But if you go into a dressing room where you've got the potential for a squad to think, who the hell are you? You need to command it pretty early. You probably need to have one-on-one chats with people who you maybe think are a problem or potential problem. And you also need to get off to a good start. Because if they can see, it's like any manager going into any club really, but if they can see that what you're telling them on the training ground is manifesting itself into positive things on the football pitch, and they are winning because of what you're doing, then they're thinking, well, actually, this bloke knows what he's talking about. But if you go in and you do all of the stuff on the training ground and you lose your first 5, then all of the who are yous get louder, don't they?
But Graham Potter had quite a good start when you look back.
It was just not a.
But yeah, it was a funny atmosphere.
I think football managers are jigsaw pieces, and if you've got your jigsaw puzzle, some managers fit into a club and complete the picture. Some managers you kind of can't shoehorn them in because they might be too big or too good for that particular club, or they might not be quite good enough for that particular club, or they might be the wrong kind of personality for that particular dressing room. There's all sorts of things in the melting pot for that, aren't there? And sometimes there are managers like Pep probably who I think if you suddenly asked him to manage Swansea City, he'd be thinking, well, what on earth do I do here? Because I haven't got all of these star players. I haven't got the budget. I haven't got the tools I have at Man City or Barcelona. But he can operate at that top level and operate as well as anybody at that top level because he gets what it takes to succeed right at the very top. Half time between Sweden and Australia. Sweden 1, Australia 0. We've had that. Just the one goal, which came from the penalty spot. Fridolina Rolfo from the penalty spot in the 30th minute. As we stand, Sweden 1.35, 4.5 for the tie, 13 for Australia to come back and win in the 90 minutes. If you still fancy goals, double your money for over 2.5, 1.99, so near as damn it, double your money. Second goal markets are there for you. Sweden to score the next goal, 2.04. Australia to score the next goal, 2.58. And if you fancy both teams to score, which obviously is an Australian goal, yes, is 1.76. I still think we get goals in this one, DT.
Yeah, I think so. I do fancy more for Sweden, though. Australia have got maybe a puncher's chance. But Sweden, just with a bit more care on some of those situations they've created, they could be 2 or 3-0 up. So if the Australian defence just starts to sort of tire a little bit, I think the gaps will appear. So yeah, I think Sweden could I don't know, 3-0. They could run away with this, 3-1.
I think Australia score.
Yeah, 3-1. I'll go.
Okay.
3-1.
I'd fancy Australia to get onto the score sheet. And
3-1, by the way, is 13.5.
Australia just to score in the match. I mean, is that both teams' score price, isn't it? The 1.76. Yeah. So somewhere in that region. It's always worth, by the way, if you're looking for a bet like Australia to score in this match. Both teams to score obviously lands it. That's 1.83. You do get the other markets as well. Like Australia total goals in this match over. Actually, you can't get the over 0.5.
Here's one though. Sweden clean sheet. No.
Yeah.
1.81.
Yeah. So you get slightly different prices for basically the same bet. Well, actually, is the same bet. So just have a little bit of a hunt around. Get used to the sportsbet.io site, and it's always worth just taking that extra, even if it's just 0.05. It's better in your pocket, isn't it? If that bet lands. At 3 p.m. today, we will be back for the Premier League. It'll be Gav and Jack in the studio. Then I'm going to join Gav from 5 p.m. for the 2 evening kickoffs. Here's the thoughts of Paul Robinson and Neil Mellor ahead of the Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs.
Previewing every game of the English Premier League. Please gamble responsibly. This is the Clubhouse Premier League betting preview with sportsbet.io.
But Saturday 3 p.m. fixtures. We'll start off with Fulham against Brentford. We can rattle through these three really, but Fulham and Brentford, two sides. I mean, I watched your previews last week and wondering where the Brentford goals were going to come against Spurs. They scored 2 against Spurs. Was that an impressive display from Brentford, do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I think it was. And I think what will please Thomas Frank was that it was Wissa and Mbeumo who scored the goals. We obviously know that Ivan Toney's missing until early into the new year. And, you know, the predictions, the previews, the build-ups, all the talk about how are Brentford going to do without Ivan Toney take his goals out of the team. And the two players that the manager would look to got on the score sheet. They're always going to be difficult to beat at home, Brentford. Very well organised, set plays. They don't make apologies for the way that they play sometimes. They press high, but at times they'll put it in the box from free kicks, from corners, from long throws, and they get results. They've got a fantastic atmosphere down there at the Brentford Community Stadium. And Thomas Frank's just got this team really, really well organised. They play a certain way. Everybody knows the jobs. The system very rarely changes, if ever. And they're just a very, very mechanical, good Premier League team. In a similar way to Brighton, they play very differently to Brighton, but they're a model of when you come into the Premier League, how to adapt, how to grow, and how to stay in this league.
Yeah. So both sides, Neil, Fulham and Brentford, are two sides that probably maybe in a lot of people's eyes, overachieved last season in terms of the where they finished in the Premier League. The bookies here, sportsbet.io, 2.71 for Fulham, 3.4 the tie, 2.66 for the Bees. They can't really decide. Those prices suggest that this is a wide open.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think we've both been impressed with certainly how Brentford have established themselves as a Premier League side, decent, and no talk of them being in the relegation battle. Just wonder about Fulham this season. Maybe not quite as good as last season, but still good enough to stay away from trouble. Mitrovic has been talked about, hasn't he, pre-season? Came off the bench last game. Wonder, would he maybe be tempted to throw him in and start him for this game? He's so important for Fulham. He really is. I know the window's still open and he might leave, but I'm sitting on the fence. I fancy both teams to score. I fancy it to be a draw, but I'd be swaying for a goal scorer at Mitrovic. I just feel as though he's just a talisman for Fulham, and I think they might be tempted to start him for this game.
Who do you fancy for this one, Paul?
Listen, our predictions were very similar last week, and I don't think we're going to be far off this week. Listening to the first two games, I think we've pretty much got a Forest winning. We're both sat on the fence in the second one. Like Neil, I can't see a lot of goals in this game, but there's two teams here. I think. Listen, for me, Brentford are the better of the two sides, the way that they're set up and the way that they play. But with Fulham having home advantage, Mitrovic coming back into the fold, Jimenez started last week. And I was surprised that they got the win at Everton last week. I expected more from Everton, but you don't take that away from Fulham. You have to give them credit. Being at home gives them a little bit of an edge. But like Neil, I think it's very, very difficult to separate the two. And the bookmakers don't often get it wrong with the odds, do they?
Just one line on Brentford as well. Great at home last season. Away, didn't score enough, didn't win enough. So if you're back in a draw, I think that would be a safer shout than backing Brentford to win.
I was going to round up with that because draws happen in football, but a lot of people when they're betting, they kind of ignore the draw, and it's there at a decent enough price, 3.4 for the draw as Fulham take on Brentford Saturday, 3 p.m.
Games, isn't it, wanting a draw? Nobody wants to watch them go. Nobody sits on the sofa at home going, "Oh, I hope it's a draw."
Yeah, but we always say on Clubhouse TV, unders plays land, draws land. If you're betting, you do whatever wins the bet for you. And
draw no bet. That's one. Draw no bet.
Yeah. The Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff sees Liverpool taking on Bournemouth. Only right we start with you, Neil, for your team at Anfield against Bournemouth. Started off with the draw against Chelsea, Liverpool last weekend. Is that a result that will be okay? It's kind of that I'd like to have beaten Chelsea. Previously in this podcast, you said that Liverpool are going to finish above Chelsea, but how did you see that one?
Okay result. I think Chelsea have improved. Liverpool first 30 minutes were absolutely superb. You know, if that second goal, which was disallowed from Salah, goes in, you're thinking, do Chelsea get back into it? 1-1, I thought Chelsea had good spells in the game, looked a threat. I spoke about Liverpool this season maybe being a little bit open, vulnerable at times to counter-attacking, to certain quality outfits going forward. Chelsea didn't make the most of those opportunities. Liverpool denied a blatant penalty. You know, I have to say that. I feel as though the handball law is something that needs to be clarified a little bit more. If I have an attempt at goal and it's going towards a goal and it hits somebody's hand, that's a penalty. That is a penalty all day. We saw one with the Brighton, conceding one against Luton last week. When the cross comes in, it hits his arm. That's not as blatant as one going in the goal for me. Anyway, that's my problem with the laws. Spoke to a couple of Premier League referees about it, and they go, it's the laws. I'm going, don't like the laws. Anyway, but it should have been a penalty. On to this game. First game at Anfield. It's not going to be... the stadium's not ready. Anfield Road has not been completed yet, and that will take some weeks yet to do, but it will still be a great atmosphere. I was there last season for this fixture, 9-0. It was incredible, but then we got beat away 1-0 to Bournemouth. Liverpool should have too much for Bournemouth. If they play like they did in the first half an hour, the attacking talent will create plenty of chances, and I think we'll have too much for Bournemouth.
Are we expecting another 9-0 then, Paul?
Oh, listen, you're a brave man if you back 9-0, but you're also a rich one if it comes in, aren't you? You know, that's why we have these big odds. I can't see a 9-0, but I think that Liverpool will win comfortably. Bournemouth last week, I had them to lose at home to West Ham. They dug in, got a draw. You could see what they were about. I think on the road, away from home, they'll struggle. I think they'll be a little bit too open at the back. They play in a certain way. They like to try and break through the lines and play football. And when you put Liverpool's 11 against Bournemouth's 11, and they're trying to play the same way, there's only one outcome, in my opinion. The Liverpool are far the superior team. And the final 2/3 that Liverpool have got, the players, the quality that they've got, not just on the pitch, but on the bench as well. Yes, they've missed out on a couple of players in the last week or so. I suspect they'll be strengthening even more. And I've got Liverpool up there this year. I have, and games like Bournemouth at home, you don't need us to sit here and say it's pretty much a banker. If Bournemouth win this one, it's a coupon buster for everyone.
Liverpool 1.25 to win, 6.66 the tie, and 11. Big price for Bournemouth, but probably not one that we're willing to back. But how many goals? Is there another way in, Neil, in terms of getting a better price than the 1.25 on just Liverpool to win?
Yeah, over 2.5, over 3.5. I think there will be goals. And then you're looking at maybe some of the goal scorers. I mean, Salah was a little bit frustrated last week, wasn't he? He's somebody who you would always fancy scoring. I think there's a big season ahead from Luis Diaz. I really like him. Scored last week at Chelsea. Looked good pre-season. Missed large spells last season. 1 in 9 at Anfield. I think the boy's going to have a great season. So I'd be on Diaz. Diaz got 2 against Bournemouth at Anfield last season. So Diaz, Liverpool, over 2.5, something like that may enhance the odds to make it more appealing.
You've actually got on match goals. You've got to go all the way to over 4.5 to get better than W money as a price there, because the compilers see this one as being maybe not 9-0, but being one-way traffic as Liverpool take on Bournemouth. It's hard to get some value out of that one, I think. So should we move on to the next one, which is, where's my buttons? Wolves against Brighton, the final game kicking off at 3 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon. And Wolves, Paul, were a team that I saw you saying were relegation fodder potentially, but I thought they did quite nicely. I mean, the worry for me with Wolves is they look quite well organised. They were quite determined. They got some good tackles in, but I couldn't see a goal coming.
Listen, they did more than quite nicely. They were superb at Old Trafford. They did excellently well. I mean, to come away from that only losing 1-0 and actually deserving more out of the game. The thing for me that I worry with Wolves is that the owners come out and said, we haven't got any more money. You're not having any more players. You're not spending anything. Their squad depth can't cope with the Premier League season.
Well, Paul's just breaking up as a little bit there. So I'm going to come to you, Neil, on that. Hopefully, Paul can re-establish his connection there. 3.8 for Wolves, 3.8 the tie, and 1.92 for Brighton. Brighton were fantastic last season. They've obviously lost Casado, they've lost, but they seem to be able to just kind of lose £100 million players and just carry on winning matches. And they played really well again last weekend.
Yeah, I think we expected that one, didn't we, to beat Luton? But again, it was a real comfortable performance. I think it was just a reminder. Listen, we've lost players, but we still have an identity. We're still going to play the same way, and that's a worry for Wolves. Yes, played well at Old Trafford, got nothing from the game. Again, I think a problem will be how many goals will Wolves actually score this season. I think if Wolves they win this sort of game 1-0, but can they stop Brighton scoring? That's the biggest problem I think I have for this game. I think Brighton will fancy the chances of creating more chances. Wolves at home will open up a little bit more than perhaps they certainly did away from home last weekend against United. So yeah, despite Wolves playing well and everyone saying actually Wolves might do all right, I'm still on Brighton for this one. I think it'll be close, but I think Brighton go there and get all 3 points, and then Wolves. Can Wolves perform as well as they did the week after? That's the question mark, which I think Wolves have to answer. Can they consistently perform at that level to get results? I think Brighton can, and that's why I think they go there and get a result.
One of the stats, Paul, I can see you moving again, so I think you're back with us. 1 goal in 4 Premier League matches for Wolves, which is a worry for Wolves fans, isn't it? If you can't score goals, you're not going to pick up that many points.
Yeah, and Saul Jimenez as well. Kuna's coming, he's going to have to carry the can for scoring the goals. And you look at their team, I don't know what you picked up or what I said before, but on paper, they're starting 11 that looks strong enough, looks decent. Squad depth for me is their worry going forward. Goals and squad depth. They've got a good 11. You look on paper, and they proved that at Old Trafford against Manchester United. Maybe you go into the bench, 13, 14 players, but beyond that, and the owner said that they're not getting any more players. So you worry for Gary O'Neill, squad depth, and what he's going to do, as the season progresses. It was a fantastic result for them at Old Trafford, but as a player and the first game of the season, you get yourself up for a game like that. You raise your game, you put the levels there, but they've now set the barrier, so that's the bar, so that's what's expected. Can they do it at home against a very, very good Brighton team who we saw last week?
Simple question to finish this one off with. Brighton 1.92. Yes, Neil?
Yes, and Welbeck to get a goal.
Same question to you, Paul. Brighton 1.92. Looks like a decent enough price.
Yeah, not many people are back against Brighton in this. I think Wolves will make it difficult for them. It's always a difficult place to go, Molineux. But yeah, my money's on Brighton.
Previewing every game of the English Premier League. Please gamble responsibly. This is the Clubhouse Premier League betting preview with sportsbet.io. Every game of the English Premier League, Champions League and Europa League, live as they happen. This is Clubhouse TV.
And a very warm welcome back, Clubhouse creatures around the world. James and DT with you in the studio. But before I bring back Dave Tyndall, promised you in the first half that we will be joined by Roy Hodgson at the start of the second half. And Roy, first half, Sweden 1-0.
Correct.
Well, thank you. Do you see the same kind of pattern in the second half? Who are you being impressed with most?
Well, I think Sweden have shown that they're a functional team, the sort of team I would like to manage myself. I think they're limited, but I think they can score another goal and win this game by 2-0 or possibly 3-0. As I said, I can remember 1966, asking my father to turn on the television. I don't know why I was asking him, seeing as I was already 52 years old.
Well, it's lovely to see you. Good luck with Crystal Palace this season. But back into the action then as Australia display a rather aimless ball out to the left-hand side. We are back and running for the second half. Sweden 1, Australia 0. And the prices as we embark on the second 45. There is potential of extra time and penalties as well. Sweden 1.35, the tie 4.5, Australia 13. Tell us how you are betting. You're watching Clubhouse TV with sportsbet.io. Fun, fast and fantastically fair.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I think the best bet is over 2.5 goals in this match at 2.02. Double your money. Bang, bang.
Here's one for you then. Who do you think will win the game?
Sweden.
All right, if you go right to the bottom of the console, you can have Sweden to win and over 2.5 goals at 2.55.
Yes.
Yes.
I like it.
2.65 now as I speak.
I like that. I like that a lot. Sweden to win.
I like it a lot.
Sweden to win and over 2. Yeah, 2.65. I mean, that's the way back in. I mean, what are Australia to win? 13.5. Well, you wouldn't play that. And if you're going to thinking of Australia winning, on the outrights, the 13.5. Australia to win and over 2.5 goals is 10. They're both the same, effectively, aren't they? Because it's going to be over 2.5 goals if Australia win. And there's about 3.5 points different.
I'm trying to find a flaw, but I think, yeah, you're right.
So take the outright price rather than... I say to you, scroll down to the bottom of the sportsbet.io site, but it doesn't mean you have to take the prices. But it's a way in. So Sweden 1-0 against Australia as things stand. In terms of the corner count, we've had 3 to Australia and none yet for Sweden. And we need 8 corners in this match for the free bet to land. First 10 to do whatever I tell you on the Clubhouse TV chat will win yourselves a 10 USDT free bet should we get to 8 corners in the game. Ball's floated in by Australia towards the back post, trying to get around the back, but not quite hooking the old leg around it. So still Australia plugging away. They'll have plenty of support in that stadium. The crowd is very good for a third-place playoff because it is the host nation involved in it. So there will be plenty of reason for the Australians to play on and play hard in this second half. They're not just going to roll over and have the tummies tickle because they have the support there in the ground. They're doing it for their fans.
Yeah, I still want that goal from Sam Kerr, obviously. Not really had a clear-cut chance so far. Yeah. That could have gone wrong.
You're very smooth, you.
Yeah. I'll settle for what I did say. I could have gone terribly wrong.
It's like when you see people interviewing Jeremy Hunt on the telly.
Yeah.
Can get messy, that one. As I bet a lot of people are saying, don't say. In their heads, they're going, don't say, don't say, don't say. And then it comes, and that's already in their heads by the time they actually start speaking.
It's like when you're playing golf. Don't hit it in the water. Don't hit it in
Splash.
the water. Yeah.
So
your brain didn't hear the don't say bits.
Yeah. I had a friend I used to play golf with a lot, and he was not as good as me, obviously. But he was good enough. He could hit the ball. But as soon as he had water between him and the green, he lost all confidence.
Yeah.
And you could just basically, I think probably 9 times out of 10, the ball ended up in the water. The only time it didn't do was if he scuffed it somewhere else. It completely threw him as soon as there's any water involved.
Yeah, just stay. Don't play your best ball. Get a cheap one out of
it
your
was
bag.
Always a matter of pride for me on a course with quite a bit of water was to play the same ball all the way around.
A chance for Sweden in behind.
That's a good challenge. That's a very good challenge by Australia.
Are they appealing for a penalty there? I thought she fell onto it with her hand. I think that's what some of the Swedes are saying. Catley it was.
It's whether she controlled it with her hand when she.
It's a bit half-hearted appeal, maybe.
In that situation, she could have fallen on it with her hand, but it's whether her hand was in an unnatural position. And because what they're saying this season is that if you are falling naturally and it hits your hand, then that's not a penalty, because what else can you do? You can't. It's like I said a lot on Clubhouse TV last season. You can't exactly in an instant saw your arm off to make sure it doesn't make contact, can you? Because your hand's attached to your body.
Yeah.
I always find it funny when they say handball and it's hit somebody kind of up here, because it's like the t-shirt line, isn't it, and below.
Yeah, when did that become your hand?
When's your elbow?
There's Sweden chance here.
This is an opportunity.
Shot.
It's going to be a corner. Oh, it's not. She saved it from being a corner. You absolute Lechuga. That's no good for the creatures.
Yeah, Hunt it was. Be careful.
She's a good player. I've liked her. She's come on as a sub in the last 2 matches, and she's made a difference when she's come on, because she's box to box. She's back defending, but she gets forward too.
They should have gone left here. They went to the right.
A few people out there just questioning whether the free bet's been accredited from yesterday. I don't know is the answer. We'll probably, if you haven't got it by 3 o'clock, take that up with Gav when he's sitting in this chair. Give him the problem, not me.
That's it. Transfer your responsibilities.
Selfless, I am selfless. I'm all no I in team.
Sweden again trying to dribble into the box. They're just ramping it up a bit, aren't they? At the start of the second half, the Swedes. I think that second goal is coming.
There's every chance as well, by the way, that if you haven't had a free bet, then maybe you didn't win, because we do have quite a few entries for them, and it's not always when you see them in order on your screen. It's not the order that they always come into us, so we have to take them in the order we get them. So there are sometimes reasons. There's no reason for us to cheat you. We will take the first 10, 15, whatever it is that day, and send them through. And if you're just out of the pecking order and you just lose, then try again next time, because there'll be plenty of opportunities as we go through this 23-24 season.
I read a good article yesterday by Barney Ronay in the Guardian.
He's good, isn't he, Barney?
Yeah, he's very good. Making a very eloquent case for what I've been arguing about, this nonsense about playing 15 minutes added time.
You're obsessed with the number 15.
Well, whatever it is. Is that a corner?
No, goal kick.
No. Yeah, he just says it's part of the theatre and drama of football to have breaks and just not, just going 100 miles an hour at everything.
I don't think
any sort of FIFA decided that you must squeeze every second out of the game.
With all due respect to you and Barney,
read the article.
I don't think you particularly understand what the time added on's for.
I do, but I'm sort of picking on bits that
because most of the matches that we've seen here have just had the normal 3 or 4 minutes added on at the end, because that's all that was, all that was required. But what I think most of us want to see is, if you have 7 goals in a half and you have all the celebrations associated, you have 5 bookings, and you also have a 10-minute injury, you don't want to see 2 minutes come up at the end of the half. You want the appropriate length of time added on at the end of each half. That doesn't have to be 15; it can be 1.
I'm not having the celebration bit added on.
Well, don't then. But it's not you that makes the rules.
It's FIFA because they want more money out of it. That's what they're trying to do.
I don't think it's financially driven.
Of course, there's everything is.
I don't agree with you. I think it's we've all seen matches where you think, because we have the conversation here, how much time do you think is going to be added on here? And you're thinking, well, Tyrone Mings has been down for 10 minutes. They've had a load of bookings and a load of play acting and a load of people getting treatment, and then the number comes up and it's 2. And you're thinking, well, where's that time gone? That is wrong. And I think adding on the appropriate length of time is exactly the right thing to do. I don't think that you are correct.
So we've been wrong for 100 years, have we?
Yeah. Well, no, because there'll be times in those 100 years where the appropriate length of time has been added on. But some referees don't seem to actually stop their watches or add the proper amount of time on, do they? I mean, there'll be times, I'm sure there's been times, DT. I mean, you moaned about Newcastle and their time wasting, and then the number came up and it was 5 or something, and you're thinking, where's all that gone? You want those...
No, it was 8.
Or whatever, but
And they deserved to get 8, and we scored in the 8th minute.
But there will have been times where you're 1-0 down in a match, and you're thinking, well, there's got to be at least 10 minutes here because there's been all sorts of stoppages, and then the number comes up and it's 2, and you think, well, we've been robbed there. And that's not right.
His article is called "Time Wasting in Football is Ugly, Maddening, and Absolutely Vital."
I agree with Barney Roney on most things, but not on that.
You read that.
I'll read it later.
It's a very
I can't
good
exactly read
article.
it now, can I?
No, I didn't say read it now. I just said you read that.
I mean, taking out a Roy Hodgson interview halfway through the half would be a way of speeding things up, because he speaks quite slowly.
Oh.
I mean, time wasting in golf. Get Patrick Cantley out of the equation.
He's not doing very well, is he, this week?
No.
Oh, no, he had a terrible start.
Colin's all right.
He's picked up.
Colin's all right.
It's a free kick
I'm
for
just
Sweden.
Just going to try and whip my the top off my... Hang on, I'm going to turn my
You're going to
fader.
whip your top off? Oh.
Oh, dear. That went wrong. I was trying to get the cellophane thing off the top of my blueberries. And I did it quickly, thinking it would be like ripping off a plaster.
Yeah.
And now my blueberries are all over the desk. So, having to pick them up. There you go. My blueberries.
Tommy Cooper.
Yeah. So
An English magician who was famed for getting his magic wrong.
I reckon Tommy Cooper must have been famous elsewhere than England.
I think he travelled.
I reckon he must. I bet he did.
They do pop up, don't they? Like a famous sort of comedian, Norman Wisdom, was massive in Albania.
Yeah.
Sweden got a free kick. Oh, what a waste! They went for the cheeky short one and just passed it straight to an Aussie when they've got about 5 or 6 players who are 6 foot tall in the box.
I think most of the time the reason that comedians from back in that era became famous around the world was because they starred in films, didn't they? There were a lot of comedians. Norman Wisdom appeared in quite a few films.
Yes.
Lauren Hardy did, and it was plenty of opportunities for somebody in Albania to get to see them with subtitles, probably.
Plus, it was quite visual comedy, wasn't it? Norman Wisdom, which works.
Well, there was that era, wasn't there, where it was going between silent and audio. And the Charlie Chaplins and what have you of this world had to kind of adapt a little bit, because people could hear them then. Because it always used to be Charlie Chaplin walking into a room, a black and white room with a little bit of grainy footage, and then something at the bottom saying, "Oh, hello," or whatever underneath.
And then the house would sort of fall over the top.
Harold Lloyd,
yeah,
hanging off the clock. Eagles with us. He says, "Hello, guys. Hello, James and Prof. What do we need?
What do we need? We need some goals."
No, we don't.
Well,
when they say "what do we need," they mean
I
for
know
the free bet.
I know.
Don't try and mislead Eagle.
Well, it's not a free bet service. What we need is entertainment.
What's the line? This is Clubhouse TV, not free bet TV.
Yes.
Oh, there's the one I like.
The
number 5.
Why'd you like her?
Is she not Hunt? I thought she was Hunt.
No, she is.
It's a short name.
Courtney Vine.
Yeah, Vine, that's it.
Courtney Vine.
No, she's good. I like Courtney Vine.
And she's coming along with Emily Van Egmond. What's this, mate? The Aussie managers.
I want to make a change, mate.
I want to make a flaming double substitute.
Yeah, flaming galah.
So,
Hey, do you get neighbours and home and away and things like that around the world? Because we, in the UK, for 20, 30 years, we had neighbours at about 6 p.m. on a after or 6:30 after the news or whatever.
a big part of our culture, isn't it? The Aussie soap.
I just wonder if because a lot of the Kylies of this world, Jason Donovans, end up being kind of household names in England, don't they? As a result of that, we still see Jason Donovan popping up on TV left, right.
Well, did you see the BBC montage for England getting to the World Cup final? They had Kylie Minogue reading out "I Should Be So Lucky."
Yeah.
So they're very embedded into our culture, the Aussies.
Just wonder if in Canada or some other parts of the world, Jamaica, whatever, Algeria, do you get home and away and neighbours, or have you got your own versions of that?
And when you see Guy Pearce in a film, do you think that's Mike off Neighbours, or do you think that's the famous?
He's done quite well for himself. There's a few
famous actor.
Few off Neighbours that have become quite big, haven't they? Really, old. What's his face? The dad, silver haired now.
Jim Robinson.
Jim Robinson. He's been in quite a few things. Hollywood films.
Yeah.
Moved to LA and got himself certain roles of gravitas. No, I don't think he's ever been the leading man headline actor, but he
pops up.
You're kind of watching a film, and then all of a sudden the lawyer comes in, and it's Jim Robinson off Neighbours. Yeah.
Well, an hour gone now. We've still just got the one goal. The Aussies, a bit huffy and puffy.
Well, Viv says Sweden now running the game, plenty of ball, doing nothing with it.
Yeah, I think Sweden are the better team. If they just find a bit of clarity, here they go on the break.
I'm going to go in now with my best bet.
Look, there's a ball on to Blackstenius. Stay on the side.
Now she's on her own. Has she got any support? Go on, continue
Cut
to
back
run up with her. Continue to run up with her. Now she's got some support. Shoots.
Oh, there it is. 2-0.
I was about to go in with my best bet. I followed that progress of that attack. I was going to go over 2.5 goals. And we've got the second. Sweden 2, Australia 0. I dillied and dallied too long, didn't I? I dillied and dallied too long.
Well, the Sweden has got a second goal bet lands. That's good. It'd been coming, hadn't it? That all they needed to do is we talked about that exact move earlier. Blackstenius, get the ball, control it, pass it across.
And that time she actually had some support.
She had a runner coming with her. So she did
well.
Onside. Yeah, she did well to hold her run. Look at the midfield runners suddenly appearing. Plays it there.
Still had to finish that.
It's a good strike, isn't it?
She still had to finish that. That wasn't the easiest to finish.
But she had a couple of options to her right this time.
We've seen some really good goals in this Women's World Cup, and that's one of them. She's really put her laces through that, and he's got the bend on it away from the keeper.
It's just sort of like no backlift, just sort of like cut it in.
She's got her fingertips of that, the keeper, but only just.
It's a great finish.
I always like those shots where the ball just kind of goes flat. There's no dip on it or anything. She's just hit that pure, isn't she?
Yeah.
So 2-0 to Sweden changes the markets. Obviously, Sweden now incredibly short, 1.04. The tie 17, Australia 44.
Just as Viv had said, Sweden are now running the game. Yeah.
But he said he did add the caveat, they're doing nothing with it. They did on that occasion.
They did. But that particular kind of sequence of play has been on for a while. It's just Blackstenius finally getting the ball across.
Time for me to press this, I think. Because we are now 2-0 to Sweden and the markets have changed, and we've got 27 minutes left plus probably a little bit of added time at the end of this. It doesn't look like extra time and penalties is going to be on the equation and on the agenda today because Sweden have a 2-goal lead. But if we're going in fresh now, DT, where would we go for the best value on the console?
Yeah, I think we're going to do something that you like to do once you get a market going again. So Sweden to score the third goal. Is the one I like. Now it's 2.4. I can just see the Aussies kind of heads going down a little bit now. Sweden getting more chances.
Sweden have played well in this World Cup. I think if you were going to rank the final 4 left in this competition, I may be biased with this, but I'd go England 1, I'd go Spain 2, Sweden 3, and the Australians 4. I think that would probably be the right order at the end of this, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. Obviously, we'll be back in with the final tomorrow. Kicks off at 11 a.m. UK time, so please join us for that as we cheer on the Lionesses, hoping that they can bring football home to England. I'm going to start tomorrow's show in a very special way.
Special.
You got to be tuned in tomorrow.
Interesting choice of word there.
Got to be tuned in tomorrow. It'll be a treat for you all.
Sweden on a break again. A ball through. Can she get onto it?
Good pace. Good challenge.
Good tackle. But Sweden pick up the ball again. If they could just commit a few more players forward. Maybe they think they don't want to now, but
well, Australia
can pick them off here.
Australia are caught between two stools here, aren't they? Because they want to push up to try and get back into this match, but every time they push up, Sweden hit them on the break.
Yeah,
and you can obviously it can go one way, and Australia do get back into the match. But I think at the moment it's looking more likely that Sweden maybe add another.
I think so. I think 2.4 for a third Swedish goal is good.
I was going to go in at over 2.5 goals. Literally, she put that ball in the back of the net. Over 3.5 is 3.2. 25 minutes left. End of a tournament. Tired legs. Australia, as you say, with their heads down a little bit. Do Sweden push to the end? That's the only question, isn't it? Do they just go through the motions for the last 10 minutes thinking,
no, they're good, honest people, the Swedes. They'll keep going. Here's another chance.
Oh, she's going to score now, isn't she?
Straight at the keeper. What a chance.
That was nearly deja vu.
I think it was offside. Was it offside? I didn't look it.
That was nearly deja vu because I was about to press the button on over 3.5 and she was going to score again, wasn't she? But I've pressed it now. I'm going to share this in the Clubhouse TV chat. If you fancy picking up on James's best bet, 3.2 for another couple of goals in this match.
I think she was onside there.
Genetics says, I guess Australia doesn't want to be there.
I don't agree with that. I think they do want to be there. I just think they're not that good. I think Sweden are the better team. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, you could put me in a 100-metre final at the Olympics and I'd be really keen.
Want to be there.
I'd be really keen to be there, but you wouldn't get me winning it.
Yeah, she was definitely onside there.
You wouldn't get me winning it.
Yeah.
I'd finish in about 20 seconds as the others were collecting their medals.
Yeah. I mean, England were clearly the better team against Australia. It was obvious. So they've done really well, but this is further than they've ever been. But they aren't as good as some of the European teams.
When it comes down to it, they've had a very, very fine tournament.
Yeah, but
they've done their.
They're not at the levels of the absolute best teams.
Or the Matildas in the crowd that have turned up to watch them have been richly rewarded, haven't they, as they've gone through the tournament? So, and New Zealand, to be fair to them, they only went out on goal difference in the group stage. They could have probably gone another step on. So, the host nations have done as well as I think they could have expected to have done. Ultimately, to lift a global tournament, you've got to be the best in the world, haven't you? Or be right up there in terms of your ranking. And Australia just aren't quite there yet. But you'd imagine,
great sporting culture. So this will hopefully open the doors, and they'll get
here
better.
Comes
and better.
Sweden again. You'd imagine, wouldn't you, that this would is the penalty taker from the US that got it just over the line. That this would, there'll be thousands of kids around Australia watching this, thinking, Mum, can I have a football?
Yeah.
And that, in 10 or 15 years' time, you'd imagine Australia would be punching right at the end of these tournaments, actually thinking they could win them.
Yeah, if you go to Australia, there's so many outdoor sports clubs and everything everywhere you go. And
there is a big difference between men's and women's football in that, apart from the obvious, they're played by different sexes, but you can look at countries. And like the US is a good example, the men's team are nowhere near as successful as the women's team.
Yeah.
And there is a tendency for the kind of the person that's kind of watching from a distance to think, oh, this is the US, they must be, and kind of transplant what the men do into the women. Then it's not true, because the women have won 4 World Cups and a very, very good side. So there are some nations, like Australia, have the potential to make soccer, as they probably call it, a women's sport almost, because they do have the A-League and stuff in Australia, but the Australian men's team does get to final stages of the World Cup, but you never think of them as a potential winner. You certainly don't think of them as semi-finalists, do you?
No.
So the women have the potential to really kick on, don't they? And as you say, the kind of the culture out there and the weather out there does mean that they can play all year round.
Oh, chance there.
Do you know what?
Did well.
I'm still thinking Australia can score here. I'd actually really like to see them score.
Yeah, it'd be a nice sort of moment for them.
Like a little full stop to their tournaments.
Polkinghorn, but the Mosovic, the Swedish goalkeeper, must be the best goalkeeper in the tournament. She's made some great saves.
I think her and Mary Earps are the two
Earps,
best keepers in the competition, aren't they? Because she's very good.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mosovic has been tested a bit more than Mary Earps, maybe, so she hasn't had the chance to pull off the dramatic saves that Mosovic has. But she's been brilliant, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. If you're picking a team of the tournament, it's either Earps or Mosovic in goal, and the other one's on the bench.
Yeah.
So they've been great. Be interesting actually to see what the team of the tournament looks like, because in World Cups gone by, there's probably been about 5 or 6 Americans in it, wouldn't there? Be a different kind of.
Being like Megan Rapinoe would be sort of in all of those, and a few others. But
I mean, they had a desperately disappointing World Cup by their standards, didn't they?
Yeah, they just didn't get going. Aussies still trying here.
Worst World Cup of their history.
Yeah,
only just made it through to the round of 16 and then fell.
Which England? Well, we'll talk about all this tomorrow. But which England player has impressed you most?
I mean, Hemp had a really good game.
I thought Hemp was unbelievably good.
She was all over the shop.
She's a great player. I think this is her tournament.
I like. Let me just bring up the list so I get the names right, because I am still yet to be as across the women's game as I am the men's game, sadly, despite being sat in here with you guys. But the women's team has been. It's been a funny, from an England perspective, it's been a funny tournament because they haven't been brilliant all the way through, have they? They've done enough.
Yeah.
And that is tournament football, isn't it? You kind of do enough to get through to the next stage and keep yourself in with a chance of lifting the trophy. That's exactly what England have done.
They're pretty good against Australia, to be fair. I thought that was one of their better games.
But yeah, I just wonder whether Australia. I said throughout the broadcasts on here, I think I've done all of the England women's games. They found it tough against Nigeria. Nigeria should have beaten England that day. If it had been just purely down to fairness, I think Nigeria would have progressed, but England just managed to kind of sneak their way through. And then who was the next team they played?
Colombia.
Colombia played well against them as well and tested them at times. But they were two different styles of football. And I don't think England... I mean, we talk about Serena... Wiegman, that's the one. Why did I get her name wrong there? I can see her in my head. Talk about her and her abilities as a coach, but I don't think she necessarily adapted to those two challenges. They kind of got through despite...
mentality, yeah.
But then coming up against Australia, I think that was a far more English kind of game, because Australia play a very English way, don't they? And I think they'll be okay against Spain as well, because they're European. So I don't think the challenges of Australia and Spain in the last two matches of the tournament are probably quite as it doesn't mean they're going to beat Spain, but I think they'll be able to cope with Spain's style. Whereas I think Nigeria were a little bit different. They caught them on the break. They some big strong forwards, and tested England to the limit. I think
even Haiti, we probably didn't know much about them, and they made England work.
That seems a long time ago. England were playing Haiti
or Sweden. Just think Sweden have got another through ball that's going to pick them apart here.
A 3-1 result, I don't think, is beyond the realms.
Little cross into the box.
Chance.
So it'll come off somebody's back.
I was waiting for that to just kind of...
just nut that one in.
Because we're right behind... Sometimes when you're in the crowd at a game, you're right behind the striker, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're kind of almost heading the ball for them. But...
So you think you like an Aussie goal? I don't know. If they created anything... Both teams to score is 3.75 now.
Yeah, I think Greenwood's been good. Lucy Bronze is always good, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's just and Daly on the left hand side has been has had a good tournament as well. I mean, there's not really anybody in the England 11 that you'd say has been a disaster, would you? There's nobody kind of thinking, well, if they're going to win tomorrow, they've got to drop her. There's none of that kind of chat going on. They've all been great.
Yeah.
And considering there's a few out as well, England haven't got their strongest squad out there because of injuries, and a lot retired after the Euro success as well, didn't they? Who could probably gone on maybe another couple of years. I got the impression that they all thought the Euros was going to be the pinnacle.
Yeah.
So therefore, let's retire on a high, which obviously they did do, but maybe some of them might be thinking, if I'd only gone on another year. Yeah.
Because, normally it would be 2 years, wouldn't it? But, it's one more year.
So, but we'll see tomorrow. Because Spain have got some threats there. It's certainly not a foregone conclusion. I think almost, I kind of listening to the radio and a few things I've heard about the Women's World Cup final tomorrow. Obviously, English people are very biased when it comes to the World Cup tomorrow because they want England to win. But people are almost talking like it's won already.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very dangerous way of looking at it. It's disrespectful to Spain, and Spain are a good side. So England, if both teams play as well as they possibly can, England should win. But England will be nervous tomorrow. It's a World Cup final, so anything can happen. You kind of get weird challenges, don't you? And you can get people doing strange things because pressure makes things go horribly wrong at times. Got to play it down at the moment. Yeah.
Sam Kerr.
Is this
this isn't good.
A reoccurrence of the injury?
She's holding her leg. So she's chasing a ball here. What happens? She
gets a knee in the back of her thigh, doesn't she? It's an impact injury rather than a muscle, I think, this.
Well, or does she get it? Yeah, it's like a dead...
Which is actually the better way around. It might hurt a lot, but it's...
If her foot got trapped, I think, it's just gone bang, hasn't it, on the back of her. It's painful.
She's just basically been hoofed in the back of the thigh, isn't she? So she's down and getting some treatment. But I think she's going to be... Whether she continues or not, because, I mean, why... It might be a good time to bring her off and give her a massive round of applause and bring somebody else on.
Well, she'll want to play on, won't she?
Do they gain anything from her playing on?
Well, it's it's the equivalent of taking Harry Kane off in an English World Cup, so you wouldn't do it, would you? If she can possibly continue, she will. She's hobbling a bit, but I think she's going to be all right.
If England were in the third place playoff in the World Cup, unless Harry Kane was in the in with the chance of the Golden Boot, he probably wouldn't start. Or they might have taken him off already because Gareth Southgate would have played everybody that hadn't played.
I don't know what she's doing. So she's limping to the side. Is this just so she can come back on?
She's just...
she doesn't look too distressed, does she?
I think she's just taking a breather, isn't she? And taking a few deep breaths, and then I think she's going to go again.
Yeah.
That goal she scored against England was an absolute snorter. Yeah. Brilliant goal.
It's great, isn't it, that they've got that they had that moment. It was good for them.
But like you said, I mean, you go into these major tournaments, every team has a ceiling of expectation.
Yeah.
And where they think would be...
She's back on. Sam Kerr is back on.
Where they think would be kind of their level in terms of, for some that'll be winning one group match, for others it'll be getting out of the group, for some it might be making the quarterfinals.
I think the Aussies, probably the quarters was the par for them. So to go to the semis was above.
Whereas with the US, nothing short of winning it was enough.
Yeah.
Because
they're the final,
because they're so used to winning it. You've got to bring the trophy back in. When you've won 4 out of the 8 incarnations of the tournament, you basically are looking to win the thing, aren't you?
I think for England, probably the semis would have been acceptable.
I think semis was the level, wasn't it? And then anything beyond that is...
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
it's not unexpected, but it's...
this is really good again.
It's a great result, yeah. Whereas going out in the round of 16 or something would have been a disappointment.
Because England, Lucy Bruns was saying she's twice got to the semis and gone out, and it's just awful. So, they didn't want that to happen again. It would just seem like a bit of a plateau. But, to get to the final is a big deal. 12 minutes left for the Aussies to try and at least get a goal, give the crowd a roar.
Just coughing on one of my blueberries there. It went down the wrong way.
Was it?
Yeah. When you're trying to eat surreptitiously, I'll put you on camera and then try and just kind of put a stick of blueberry in, and it went down the wrong pipe.
Okay.
Tell us how you're betting later as well. Tell us what you've done with your fantasy teams this week. Have you made any changes? I was saying to you earlier, and then we got distracted. Made one change in terms of a defender, which doesn't actually really change anything.
Did you say who it was?
I've took out Tangana, who didn't play, and I've brought in Diop of Fulham.
Who are they playing today?
They are playing. It's a good question. Who are Fulham playing? They are playing. Brentford.
Yes, they're home. One of the 3 p.m. kickoffs, Fulham Brentford. The other 3 p.m. kickoffs, Liverpool, Bournemouth. I'm going to that one straight after this. It's about 2. What do you say? We're an hour and a half away from Liverpool from here.
Yeah.
Wolves versus Brighton.
You got to allow time for John Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a little superstition where I have to go for a wee in John Lewis. Big department store before the match.
You use the toilet there, don't you? You just don't go in the front door and just let rip. Yeah.
Yeah, in the haberdashery department.
Yeah. Hi everybody, it's football again.
Yeah.
Spray the place.
Yeah.
Just spreading my scent.
I do use one of the toilets. Yeah, and it works. So only 3 p.m. kickoffs, a bit unusual.
We should have been 4, shouldn't it? But Luton Burnley was scheduled to be on at 3 this afternoon. I don't know why they couldn't have just switched the Burnley to host it.
I know.
I mean, I guess there's logistics with police and various other things, but you wouldn't have thought it's beyond the realms, would you?
No, they should have known this for a while.
Yeah, it's not like it's... Oh, today... Yeah, we've got to cancel it unless you can host it. We've known this for 4 or 5 weeks.
The thing is, for Luton as well, and that they're immediately on the back foot, aren't they? Because they lose the first game, then they didn't play, and suddenly...
Yeah, then they lose the next week, and all of a sudden it's 3 rounds gone. And having games in hand is all well and good, but if you're not winning, it doesn't really matter, does it?
You want points on the board.
I think Luton are going to really struggle this season. I've heard a couple of people say... I mean, Gav said... that he thought Luton would be all right this season. I think
based on what?
If they don't finish 20th,
I'll eat my hat.
I will be very surprised.
Yeah.
They may be a valiant 20th. They may get a couple of half decent results along the way, but as Sheffield United proved last night, you can huff and puff and you can play some half decent football, but you're coming up against some very good teams in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And you might have a look at the Premier League table and think, Everton and Fulham and Nottingham Forest and all of those kind of level clubs, but they're still tough to beat, aren't they? And they can easily beat Sheffield United and Luton on their day.
Nice little moment there, crossing at the box, Musovic, lovely catch and just a little hug with a defender who was sort of in the way.
I think, one of the things with the women's game now, with so many professional leagues and so many overseas players in the WSL and in the American tournament, a lot of these people know each other. They might share dressing rooms with each other.
Well, Lucy Bronze plays for Barcelona. She says she plays, against 90% of that Spanish team, so she knows them inside out. So when
they will be taking the field against a lot of players they know.
Yeah,
the world is a lot smaller these days, but in any way. But in women's football, the world's shrunk, hasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember who the Spanish sort of left winger is, but Lucy Bond says, "Well, I come up against her in training all the time." Sweden going through again. Australia get bodies back. Has he choked again?
I've really done myself in. I've got something just lodged in my throat at the moment. Might have to go to hospital. I'm not a hypochondriac or anything.
A drama queen.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm going to die.
People in there sort of lost a leg in an accident. You've swallowed a blueberry.
Of the players that are in this World Cup from the start, all of the countries, there was a really high percentage out the Women's Super League.
Yeah, I know.
About 65% or something of players that are in this tournament have played in English in England's top tier.
Yeah,
and that would be more if your favourite had been playing.
Yeah, the Dutch. I thought the Dutch were one of the best teams, actually. It's a shame they didn't go a bit further. I think they were in a tough part of the draw. So, yeah, obviously there is Dutch representation in the final, courtesy of Serena Wiegman. I think they're very proud the fact that she is. I listened to a Dutch journalist speaking yesterday saying, okay, our team didn't get there, but in fact our manager is. Be like, say there was a sort of...
I don't think if Gareth Southgate was leading Germany to the World Cup final, I don't think there'd be quite as much love.
So, well, because from their point of view, the English game is right up there. Say Roy Hodgson was managing Brazil in a final, you'd feel a bit proud, wouldn't you? You'd feel very sort of strange. What's that? How's that happened?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
I mean, both Roy Hodgson and Bobby Robson spent an awful lot of their careers overseas, didn't they?
Yeah, I always felt good for Bobby Robson that he was doing well at Barcelona.
I did.
And Terry Venables.
The difference between Terry Venables managing Barcelona and Terry Venables managing Germany. But there's no reason that's not going to happen. Because you think about how many foreign coaches England have had, men's team, and the England women's team currently have a foreign overseas coach. So, it's I can't think of any. Has there been an example of an English coach managing an overseas country? I mean, there may have been right down the food chain, I guess. If you go down to the very small nations, there might have been an English coach of one of them. But of the established nations, I can't think of one.
I can't think of a high-profile English manager who has.
No.
Maybe that's the next thing. Although I think the next fascinating thing is a woman manager of a men's team and how high that goes.
Well, they've said that Serena could get that job. That'd be really interesting to see how that worked.
It'd be fascinating, but it'd be fascinating if she just took over like a Premier League team or a Championship team.
I mean, because what's the face at Chelsea? She's really good as well. Chelsea boss.
Emma Hayes.
Yeah, Emma Hayes is brilliant. And as a coach, the Nasser Hussain's done a documentary where he talks to a lot of coaches about their challenges and what they do, and she speaks so well on that.
Yeah.
You could imagine if you were playing for her. First of all, she'd say, "James, you're not good enough. Can you clear off?" But B, she'd say, you'd be thinking, "Oh, she's great," because I think you'd actually really like her, but you'd also really respect her, and that's a very good combination, isn't it? If you like your coach and you want to run through a brick wall for them, and you respect everything they say, you're not going to go too far wrong, are you?
Because say I should say a Premier League team, and right, here's the new manager. If Phil Neville walks through the door, you'd think it's Phil Neville. But if Serena Regan,
poor old Phil Neville gets a bad rap, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, because he was no good as England manager. But if Eagman walked in, you think, oh right, she's the one who just seems to win everything she ever goes for.
Poor old Phil. If you're watching Phil, you had a good day.
Well, he had a marvellous club career, but as a manager, he's sort of not much cop, is he?
Well, he's better than his brother.
Well, that's not much, right? Oh, I thought Sweden were away then, but a foul on the.
Gary's stint at Sevilla.
It's a disaster.
It's the thing that they take the mick out of him more than anything. Whenever I've seen Gary Neville on any panel show or anything, it's Sevilla comes up.
But then Phil was no good with England. Then he got sacked by Inter Miami, didn't he? Beckham had to get rid of him. Yeah. So I don't know.
He's made a bit of money out of it.
Oh, he's a very rich man, a very successful man. But
I mean, the Nevilles are an amazing family.
Tracy Neville, netball,
all played for their country.
Yeah,
three children. Gary and Phil played football for England.
Very good cricketers as well.
And Tracy Neville played international netball. So their parents must have done quite a lot of running around, ferrying to practice sessions and stuff. It must have been quite amazing.
Although the most remarkable thing about that family is the fact that the dad is called Neville Neville.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
What was Grandad Neville thinking there?
I mean, you couldn't have done that though, could you? Tyndall doesn't work,
sounds the same. How is it any different?
Well, because Tyndall's not a Christian name, is it? It's a first name.
But you think of
whereas Neville is, isn't it?
I guess so, but
Neville Longbottom out of Harry Potter, for example.
Yes.
Yeah.
But of all the names you could pick, let's go with his surname just for a laugh.
I mean, they're not the only.
Have you ever heard why?
Nicholas Nicholson. I've heard that. Nicholas Nicholson. I guess I'm probably drunk. What should we call it? I'm seeing double. I'm going to speak double. Neville. Yeah, why not?
There are famous stories in history of why people are called what they are just because their parents were drunk when they had to register them.
Yeah. What date is it today, by the way? 19th.
It is.
Just going to enter. Going to do some.
We've got 2 minutes left. Sweden are 2-0 up. We're nearly done. Sweden are going to get that bronze medal.
I was just going to put on our spreadsheet. I was going to put in the details of the free bet, which unfortunately is going to lose, isn't it? Because we had no corners at all in the second half.
Really?
No, none. 3 corners to 0 at half time to Australia. They've won that battle 3-0. It stays.
So Sweden haven't had a corner.
Hadn't had a single corner in the entire match, and there's only been 3 altogether. So unfortunately, the free bet won't land. I don't think, unless we get 5 corners in the last. Moments. Eagles asking, James, Wolves double chance is good? ? Wolves are, excuse me.
About 1.8, is it?
Wolves double chance against Brighton.
1.8. It's 1.83. Why would you oppose Brighton?
I mean, Wolves were better than I expected them to be last week.
But they can't score a blooming goal.
It's where the goals. It's where the goals come from.
Brighton
isn't it?
can score like 4.
And Brighton are a good side. I mean, if you were, you're obviously a Liverpool fan, but if I was a fan, if I was kind of landed from the moon and had to decide which Premier League side I was going to pledge my allegiance to, you could do worse than Brighton, couldn't you?
Well, my thought the other day was, say Klopp says, I've had enough.
Yeah.
Who would you get in? And you're thinking the obvious things. I'd get De Zerbi in. What a manager.
6 minutes of added time. So it's not 15, DT. It's not 15.
6? Where'd they get that from?
The 2 players were down for about 4 minutes, weren't they? Honestly.
All right, I'll take that.
2 players down for about 4 minutes. There's been a goal and probably a few other things as well.
It's when referees start booking players for delaying a throw, and that's when it becomes
I'll tell you what the best change in the Premier League is.
Go on.
And it's not the time added on. Navidad says, I think under 2.5 in the Wolves game. That's a dangerous bet as well, because Brighton
are in town, yeah.
Brighton score goals.
Brighton have got about 9 players who could score.
I think it's going to be interesting, that
Wolves
one.
have got none.
Going to be interesting, that one. What was I going to say? Yeah, the best change is, and I've said this so many times when we were on the radio last season on the TV, if a player gets up and goes like that to the ref, book him, ref. I've said so many times the referee should just say, get out of my way, sunshine. It's my decision. You're off. And now they get yellow cards for it, don't they?
Well, they should have been getting yellow cards for years, but
yeah,
they didn't enforce it, did they?
So history was wrong, wasn't it?
What?
Been doing it wrong for all those years, haven't we?
But I thought that was I thought that was a rule brought in years ago to say that, and they did sort of bring it in for a while, and then they stopped.
They have these rules and they don't actually enforce them. But they are now doing it. There was a player got sent off, got a second yellow the other day.
You hope that it goes beyond the first few weeks of the season.
And Navidad's admitting he's under 2.5 in the Wolves game is a bit risky. I think it is, but I mean, it depends what price you got Navidad. So, sometimes you can take the risk if the price is rewarding enough, can't you?
It's 2.23. I can see, if you think Wolves aren't going to contribute.
But 3-0 Brighton wouldn't be the most surprising result in the world.
It's possible, isn't it, with Brighton? There's a team full of goals.
Especially at this stage of the season where, teams aren't thinking goal difference, but teams are just thinking, let's get off to a brilliant start, aren't they? So the chances are you get to see, whereas later on in the season, you might get to 60 minutes and just go through the motions because you've got an FA Cup game coming up and you've got various other things happening. I think at the moment you keep your foot down, don't you?
Yeah.
Because you want to keep your place in the team for a start. You've only just started the new season. There's people coming in. You want to basically impress every chance you get. So, yeah, going to be. Having said that, the first round of the fixtures last week, other than Newcastle sticking 5 past Aston Villa, which wasn't a surprise result, it was maybe just a surprise scoreline. There weren't any upsets, were there, last week?
There wasn't no upsets, no. Nothing that you thought, oh.
Yeah. So there is a free bet available from 3 o'clock. Gav and Jack will be with you for the Liverpool, Bournemouth, Fulham, Brentford and Wolves against Brighton games. Then I'll be joining Gav for Spurs against Manchester United, Man City against Newcastle, which sees us through a very busy Saturday on Clubhouse TV. Then tomorrow we are in for the Women's World Cup final. Quarter to 11 UK time. We'll be on air 11 o'clock kickoff, so please join us for that as England take on Spain. And then later on in the day, 2 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. We'll both be home by then. But Aston Villa against Everton and West Ham taking on Chelsea. Then, of course, the final game of this round 2 of the Premier League is Crystal Palace against Arsenal, 8 p.m. on Monday evening. So games coming thick and fast. Plenty more to come. We'll be covering every single Premier League match on Clubhouse TV, and also we'll have the Champions League, Europa League, and everything around the edges too. We had the FA Cup and Carabao Cup and all sorts last season, didn't we? So we'll bring you as much football as we possibly can on Clubhouse TV with sportsbet.io. There was another yellow card.
How many is that? 2?
To
3?
finish the tournament in style.
Hurtig.
Lena Hurtig goes into the book. I don't think that's going to really change her life particularly, is it?
No. Where are you going to? We'll discuss this later. Very early thoughts. Spurs, Man U.
I think Spurs can win that.
Okay. Outsiders 2.94. Man City, Newcastle.
I think that's.
Be a statement win, wouldn't it? If Newcastle won that.
It was funny because on the score predictions, Neil went 1-1, and Paul went 4-2 to City.
4-2. Wow.
And Neil says, didn't you see Newcastle's defence last season? They hardly conceded 4 in the entire season. And Paul said, one word answer: Haaland. So Paul's thinking that Haaland can run amok against a Newcastle side that'll probably come at City maybe more than some other sides do.
Newcastle's defence isn't as good as you think. When did they last?
They were good for the first half of last season.
Basically, yeah. Then they conceded every game.
Because Trippier was getting me 6 points left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
And then it got to.
But he started adding points, but through his attacking stuff, but defensive wise.
But we got to about February time, and it changed, didn't it?
Yeah. They conceding every game.
So I think that is going to be. I mean, it's the
great match to watch.
It's the tie of the round, isn't it?
Yeah. And obviously, Man City. Pep's not happy that they played this Super Cup on a Wednesday night and having to play Saturday.
He didn't look happy at all throughout that Super Cup either.
Naked.
He was patrolling that. He desperately didn't want it to go to penalties. I think he just wanted to get everybody back on the plane, get them back home, tucked up in bed,
basically,
and try and just. And there was, I think it was Neil on the preview was saying that apparently the Man City guys got the trophy, did their sort of celebrations for 2 or 3 minutes, went back into the dressing room. Apparently the trophy was just plonked in the corner. Nobody had a picture taken with it. Nobody had anything done with it. Whereas after a Champions League victory, we'd had Jack Grealish on the town for 3 days, didn't we?
Yeah.
But it was just an obligation rather than an achievement, I think.
Yeah, shot from the Aussies. That might be their last shot of the game.
I think it would have meant more to Sevilla to win that than Man City.
Full time.
Full time. Sweden are third in the Women's World Cup. Congratulations to them. Thank you to Australia. You provided us with a lot of entertainment as we've gone through this tournament, and of course been very genial hosts as well. But the third place playoff is done and dusted. Yeah, they are delighted, aren't they? Big smiles as Sweden take a medal anyway back out of Australia and take that home to Sweden. They can be proud of their achievements, and so can Australia as well, despite the fact they look a little bit disappointed right now. Just 2 teams left then in the Women's World Cup. It is England against Spain tomorrow. And myself and DT will be with you for that one. As I say, 10:45 will come on air. Kick-off at 11. Come on, the Lionesses, basically. We are completely neutral in the studio, but come on, the Lionesses.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. And I'm off to Anfield now.
Yeah, well, you enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy Liverpool getting tonked in the Premier League. And
playing Bournemouth, you do realise.
Yeah, well, they beat you 9-0 last season, didn't they? No, they beat you at Bournemouth. They beat you at Bournemouth, but this corresponding fixture was 9-0.
I was thinking of the 9-0 in my head.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be quite 9-0 today, but I reckon you probably get the 3 points. Be surprised if you don't. But anyway, DT, thank you very much indeed. Thank you out there, Clubhouse creatures, for watching. And unfortunately, we can't give you the free bet today because it did not land, basically. Needed 8 corners, which wasn't asking too much, was it? We got 3. Pathetic. Anyway, Gav and Jack will see you at 3 p.m. or about 2:45-3 ahead of the 3 p.m. kickoffs, and I'll see you a bit later for the last 2 games of the day. Enjoy the intervening period, and we'll see you on Clubhouse TV soon. Cheers all.
Covering every game of the English Premier League, Champions League and Europa League, live as they happen. This is Clubhouse TV.